because there are people in the chat that's saying we're not live, and we're just looking. They're just looking at the.
Oh my god!
The getting ready to go live screen.
Fuck. Oh my god! We just did like a 10-minute show for the recording.
For the audio, that was our audio only segment for this podcast. Everybody.
Oh no!
That was our. So for those of you out there who are on the live stream watching right now, we did a 10-minute audio only segment. Matt gave his review of Blue Beetle.
Well,
so
I'll go into Blue Beetle again, but I'm not going to get into the pity party. So hey everybody, hey now! Holy shit! Sorry about that. We forgot to hit the go live button. Nick and I were literally having it was like the old days. We were having our own show. So don't worry. We captured it all. You can get it to tomorrow on the audio only. Listen to the first bit of the show. That's right. Bat's got it right down here in the chat.
Exclusive content.
That is some motherfucking exclusive content for sure. That's how we roll here. You never know. But to recap,
we may start doing this all the time.
Yeah.
Make you guys listen to both the live stream and the audio. Increase those numbers.
No doubt.
That's a new segment on the show, the audio only portion.
Yeah, so don't forget, if you want to catch my pity party and then the first part of Blue Beetle, which I'll recap because we just started into that. All right, here we go. So anyways, hey now, we're back. Matt's feeling pretty fucking bad for himself. I'm almost ready to give up on Star Wars. That's how bad my mental health is. I'm very depressed. I don't know how I'm going to cover Ahsoka. There's a part of me that just wants to scrap covering Star Wars moving forward and just talk about it on the show. But I'm sure I'll still fuck off and make some videos. But anyways, I was getting into Blue Beetle, talking about how it's mediocre. Good, mediocre to good. Definitely far from great. Retreads a lot of the same shit you're going to get in any origin story, so it feels very familiar. But I did say Cholo and George Lopez are standouts. Like, Cholo's fantastic as Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle, and George Lopez has some memorable scenes as, I think, Uncle Ray, kind of this goofy uncle. The grandma also has a few funny moments. Although, like I was telling Nick, my theater was empty, so a lot of the humor moments where I think the director was literally would leave a pause for a reaction, they all fell a bit flat. So I don't know if that was a lack of an audience or just me being in a piss poor attitude. But there were definitely some moments. And what I was saying to Nick as he reminded me that we're not fucking live was that the one difference with Blue Beetle when you compare it to all other origin stories is that the movie itself it's kind of at the heart is family. It's a family adventure. It's not just Jaime. It's Jaime and the family. They all kind of take part in the main narrative, helping him kind of find his way with the scarab. So it's definitely DC cinematic fare, meaning you know what you're going to get going into it. I was quite surprised by the Rotten Tomato ratings. Both the critics and the audience are digging it. I mean, I think critics were at 76, audience in the 90s, which, you know, you're always going to have that massive skew there. I would put it more towards like a 70, 75. So I guess I'm closer to the critics. It's not a bad movie. It just feels very familiar. No new ground is approached upon. It is kind of funny. The acting is really, really well done and with certain characters, especially the lead and the uncle. It's good seeing George Lopez kind of get to do his thing. And as SW Props is asking Bruna, she looks absolutely fantastic. But I think they were trying to get her to really not have any accent, which was weird, considering I think she's Brazilian, or, you know, she's got that Latin flair to her, if you will.
Yeah, I think she's Brazilian because there was she did a video on YouTube, and I watched it.
And maybe that's just how Brazilians talk English. Like, it's very clean without an accent, but it sounds choppy, almost like robotic a bit, kind of monotone.
Yeah, a little bit, kind of. That's from what I remember from the video. Her accent was definitely not a strong Portuguese or Brazilian esque accent, but it was you could tell that it was her second language.
Yeah, and it's weird, Nick, because everyone in the movie obviously, for the most part, are ESL, right? English is not their native tongue. yet they would all speak it with the Latino accent. And at times they would speak Mexican. They would speak Spanish. But for some reason, her character, and it's like, I don't know, it's because they made her aunt is Susan Sarandon, so she like has a white aunt in the movie. Yeah. But even in the movie, they're like, but I'm from Brazil. So they even say like she's from Brazil, but she still spoke, I don't want to call it perfect English, but you could tell she was trying not to have that Latin accent to the English, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
No, not like Sofia Vergara. Like Sofia embraces her accent and, sometimes bumblefucks words, and it's cute because she has big tits. This girl here, whoever the hell her name is, Bruna, it's like I don't know if someone told her like you have to try to not have that Latin spin to your English, or if that's how she wants to talk or sound when she speaks English. But it was noticeably odd to me. I'm like, why is this girl who's clearly a Latina really trying not to have that Latin accent when she speaks English? And that's kind of how it sounds. But yeah, in terms of like, if you're just a Neanderthal, she's a beautiful woman, beautiful ass. She's one of those women that she has that Latin Brazilian bum, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm a man, goddammit, I can't help it sometimes. You know what I mean? SW Prop saying she seems like the next breakout star. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, like I said, the English stuff was a little odd to me. And I don't know if that's her fault or if that's how she was directed. How's that?
I mean, I think this is what I'll say. I'm not going to see Blue Beetle because I just don't care about superhero shit anymore. It's just like you were saying in the beginning, like it's kind of all the same at this point. And when it's not all the same origin stories, it's just so like, it's so beyond what is interesting to me now that it's like, I'm fighting cosmic forces and we aren't even on the planet anymore and all this. I don't know. It's just like, it's gotten to a point to where like, it's so far from like what made the first 3 phases of Marvel like really interesting, that I just don't care anymore. So I'm not going to see it, but I do think that it will be difficult for any actor to have a breakout with a DC film. I'll say it that way, because DC is just a dead property that's like it's on the ground. Like they've been trying to do CPR on it for 5 minutes and it's not working.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Blue Beetle. Who fucking picks that character and goes, yeah, that's a movie. Yeah,
and I can remember like 10 years ago, like Blue Beetle was being tossed around as like an Amazon exclusive.
Yeah, I mean,
Amazon
it was kind of like Black Adam, where
it's
it's been talked about for years, and then it's like, oh, it's showing up. Let's go see it, and then it's like, yeah, it's a DC movie.
I just think that like, and I'm super happy that it's got good ratings and stuff, but like, they were like touting that it like, oh my God, it's the top of the box office, but it only made $25 million. And Barbie for the 4th week in a row almost beat it. Like Barbie made like $23 million and that's been out for how long? Like it's been out for over a month now. Yeah. Either a month or over. So like this movie didn't explode the box office. I don't care about James Gunn's DC. Like James Gunn can't save DC. I'm just going to say it right now. And it's because the property has too much stink on it and it's still Warner Brothers. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't care about his reboot of Superman. He still doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with Batman. Like,
remember,
is he going to keep doing this? Like,
if you're new here, Nick is anti-Superman. He hates Superman's guts.
The worst superhero in existence.
Told you.
He really is. But I've said that multiple times. He doesn't know what he's doing with Batman because he keeps like Matt Reeves is convinced that he's getting another Batman movie. But like we've heard nothing from James Gunn on what the actual Batman situation is.
I mean, bro, the Joker 2 is a thing too. Like they shot the Joker with Joaquin.
Yeah, with Joaquin Phoenix. So like I guess that's going to get released.
But you're right. Flash, like how are they? Gunn, he should have just came in and I hate to say it, just level set, just fucking clear the board. See you everything you were working on before Warner Brothers, kill it. Take that tax write-off that you did to Batgirl because it's over.
So Bat, you're like they're not part of the DCU. Nothing is a part of the DCU. The DCU doesn't exist yet because there hasn't been a movie released in the DCU yet. Like there is no DCU. So the only thing that's the DCU is what's in James Gunn's head right now. Yeah, it does. So like it doesn't matter. The issue is that he's going to do what everybody does with a superhero movie. Let's go all the way back to our origin stories. And I don't want to watch a 10th origin story for all of these fucking characters. And like, I'm at the point with DC specifically, and I'm like, same with Marvel. I just don't care about it. Like it's to the point now to where you've done too much, and like rebooting DC for a second or third time, it's not going to help. Like it's like, we're just too far gone with DC. And hey, like, you know, I wish James the best of luck. I won't be watching any of the movies just because I'm superhero fatigued out. But I don't think that even with him at the helm that DC is going to be successful.
Hell, I'll give it a fair shake. There's no, you know me, I'm a glutton for anything. I'll jump on those pop culture grenades for Nick any day. But yeah, I don't. I'm not as down on Gunn as Nick, but I'm also. Especially because he's like, yeah, The Flash is awesome. Blue Beetle, that's where we're at. And I've seen them both. I'm just like, nah, we're still missing the mark here, people. So.
The Flash, well, you just said like The Flash, which was a movie that Gunn championed, even though that wasn't like made under
right, but he is on record saying this is a fantastic film and it's essentially going to clear the map for my stuff.
Yeah, that was the biggest money loser for a superhero movie in history. Not a DC movie, not a superhero origin movie. For a superhero movie ever, it lost the most money. Like, and it was also not that well reviewed. Like it was a really poorly reviewed movie. Like, so if that's the quality that fucking James Gunn is like, oh, this is a killer movie, I'm not 100% sure if he knows what a killer movie is. Like I
will defend my man. I just rewatched GOTG V3 over the weekend because it's on Disney Plus finally, and it still hits. Like the guy, if anything, he nailed the Guardians trilogy, right? Yeah, I mean, even the third one, when you're like, hey, you know, you don't like have those daddy emotions, you know, Peter and his dad, Peter and Yondu. I even turned around, I looked, my wife was tearing up a little bit watching the final, 45 minutes of GOTG. So I love Gunn, but I'm with Nick here. I gotta, at this point, especially because he kind of put himself out on the line for the Flash. I gotta see what we're working with.
Yeah, right. I don't know. We'll see. The one movie I did see over the weekend, which is the one that Matt saw last week, so I'm not going to go too far into it. TMNT. The best version of TMNT that's ever hit theaters. Okay. Period. Yeah,
I dug it too.
Yeah, like if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's well worth it. It's the first time in a while that the turtles actually feel like turtles, or not feel like teenagers, not turtles. Like it's the first time they feel like teens. It's really well done. I think Seth Rogen was like, you could tell that he was invested in the franchise either when he was a kid or even still now, and I think he brought it to life great. The one thing that has been taking up all of my free time, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I got us a graphic, Nick, because I had a feeling we may get into this, because I'm usually the one that gets mixed up in shit and makes recommendations. So this is kind of a first where Nick gave me an idea for a game. I was getting tired of Diablo 4 and is it Starfall or Starfield? That's not
Starfield, the
Bethesda's like Bethesda
space Skyrim.
Space Skyrim, which could be awesome or it could be whatever. I'm preloading it. I still pay for Games Pass, so why not? But whatever. I needed something to putz around with. Nick was really high on Baldur's Gate 3 last week. In our pop culture segment, he talked a little bit about it and mentioned how it is essentially built on top of the D&D rule set. And I'd say prior to Scoundrels of the New Republic, I'd be like, oh, okay, sweet. I'll check that out. Never. But, Nick being our narrator and our dungeon master and getting us kind of mixed up into that world, albeit with a Star Wars skin on it, I was like, okay, I understand this a bit more. I understand what the roles mean now and this and that. And
yeah,
fuck, it's nearly impossible to roll. What do you call it? Is it a clean 20 or a straight 20?
Natural
20s.
20. Yeah.
I think the game's a little rigged, at least the digital version of rolling D&D dice. But anyways, I was like, you know what? If it works for the Steam Deck, I'll check it out. Baldur's Gate 3 is available for PS5, Steam Deck. And instead of doing my herky-jerky like PS5 remote play bullshit, I was like, I'm just going to get it for the Steam Deck. Fuck it. It's verified to work, downloaded it, looked good enough. I knew it wasn't going to look super crispy like it would on Nick's machine, but whatever. So I start playing it. I'm like, okay, I get this. I can see what he's talking about. All right. Yeah, hey, look at that. I can pick my story and this and these points and those, and I can get higher persuasion or higher intimidation if I pick this class and yada, yada, yada. So like an hour to create my character. I don't know about you. Did you go one of the existing or did you build your own?
I did a custom.
Okay.
But yeah, so I did a full custom character. I built a druid. So I did druid for my playable character.
How long did it take for you to pick out the genital set?
When I got there, I was like, I truly can't believe that this is an option.
8. But there's 8 different genitals. I love it. And so are you as creepy as me? Did you make sure to remove their clothes so you could see what every genital looked like?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I chose the genitals. I went through all the options, made sure to make a discerned choice. Did that, and
so what are you? Are you a male? Are you genderless, or what would you go with?
So I did for this one. I did a male druid. Male half elf druid. But I'm already planning like another playthrough.
What cock did you give him then? Was it the big uncircumcised one, or one of the other? Like one's like a fucking beer can. It's like a hog.
It was so long. It was so long ago because I'm already like I played in the early access, so I had some time in there. But I'm already like 40 hours into the game, like into just like playing the game, so I can't remember the selection that I made because I haven't
spent
seen it.
an hour and a half making my female character because I'm a pervert.
Yeah.
So I did a half elf, wood elf, nice. I believe, like of the wood region or some shit.
Yeah, half elf wood. Yeah, wood elf.
Got great pink hair, nice round.
What's your class? What class did you go?
Oh fuck, paladin, I think.
Paladin.
Yeah,
paladins are apparently like I know this from D&D. Paladins late game are overpowered as fuck. Like you. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna hit you up to try to get some tips, but I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna. I did one search. I was like, what should I? The first search was, should I go existing, built character, or custom? And I was like, yeah, fuck. I ended up at custom. But anyways, like I said, it took a long time. But the genitals was my favorite part. I had
they give you depth.
Playing as a female, I had 3 types of vulvas or mounds to choose from, and I believe I went genitals type C, which is a nice shaven vagina for my character. So. But I do keep her clothes on. I just took the clothes off to see. I had to see when I saw that there was 8 customizations for dicks and vaginas. I was like, okay, I got to look at this. I can't help it. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, like up to where I am in the game so far, like you've never like have had you fucked yet? Then like have you gotten naked or anything? No, not yet. I know you can, but I just don't know like how far into the game because it's like you get to choose your relationship path. Oh, dude, you get to choose too much, and that's what I'm going to get into. Like, so this game definitely scratches itches I like scratch when it comes to gaming. I mean, it's open, but as I told Nick, it might be it's open as fuck in terms of how you can approach main quests, side quests, anything. And this will probably give Nick a laugh, but dude. I am 7 hours in, and I have yet to complete the first main quest of getting the worm out of my eye. Oh, dude! Like that's how I'll fucking random I am. Like just walking around, like, oh, there's an icon over there. Like it gives me a new mission. No, like, dude, oh fuck, I'm supposed to go get this thing out of my head.
that is okay. Like, I definitely like follow the missions that are under that, but I'm 40 hours in and I still don't have it out. That is like an overarching long story.
That just would guide you. All right, okay.
Yeah, so like that's literally like what drives you from like act to act to act.
But
or like from act 1 to 2 at least.
I think that's my problem with the game, though, is it's almost too open and not guided enough for someone that gets video game ADD like I do. Because if I'm going one route towards an objective and I see something else, I'm going to veer for it. But in the back of my head, I'm like, well, I got to go back this way. I got to go back. And it ruins like the other things I'm running into. Like, oh, I could open up this whole new quest, but in the back of my head, it's going complete. And I don't necessarily like the map. I don't like that I guess you can put markers to somewhere, but you don't get like a line in your HUD. I'm just a dope. I don't want a ton of exploration. I want to be able to go a lot of places, but I also want to be told, hey, to get to where you need to go around this cliff, up that mountain, and over that tree. Then you'll get there. Because I hate fucking walking around. You're like, oh, well, fuck, I can't go there. There's a goddamn cliff face. So now you got to walk around. It reminded me of Zelda's map a little bit, where it's like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more exploration. I will say about this, like the way the game is designed is it expects you to miss things, for lack of a better term. Like there's a ton.
That'll help me.
There's stuff that are in your, like there's your quests for sure that are in your quest thing, but there are things that are like hidden in the areas that are like impossible to find if you don't have a guide, that like they just expect you not to find unless you like look it up or unless you like are really insane. So my recommendation would be to focus on a few things. Focus on like your main quests, like your primary quests, and then your companion quests. Because those are going to be the things that really like drive your story forward. All of the other stuff, definitely like if it seems like something interesting to you, follow that up. But a lot of that you can go back and do. So like if once you progress past the area that you're in now into Act 2, you'll still be able to go back and do some of the things that you missed in like the Act 1 area. Because like I did that. I was like pushing through in storylines and I was like, oh, well, I'll just do this later. And I'm like a decent way into Act 2. And I was like, oh yeah, let me go back and do this quest from Act 1. And I went back and did the whole quest line from Act 1 and it didn't cause an issue. So like you can, but that's how I would treat the game, is like primary quests and companion quests are your main drivers. And then if you find anything of interest that you really want to like follow the thread on, do those. But like don't feel like you have to do everything in an area, because more than likely you can go back and do them. Okay. So
well, like I'll play with it for another week, but if Starfield's a fucking 2 weeks, I guess. If Starfield's a banger, that's probably where I'll be for the fall. I'm hoping like I want Starfield to be what Skyrim was to me, what now, 12 years ago? I think it was Skyrim 2011.
Oh, yeah, 2011.
That's the first time I ever played a Bethesda open world, the first time I ever played in the Skyrim franchise, and I'll never forget it. Just like the first time I played Fallout 3. It just unforgettable experiences. Like, oh my God, Fallout 3 in particular. Like, I just, and that's even when I still worked in the corporate world. I remember like the whole Christmas break, I just all day long would be walking through the wasteland, listening to those old tunes, hacking and slashing and whacking. He's hacking and slashing and whacking. I just fucking love it. And I'm hoping Bethesda kind of finds that magic in space, but you never know. It's been a while since they've really made even a fucking Fallout game that I've enjoyed. So you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Baldur's Gate 3, you're not wrong. Like, if you're into the D&D formula and you like open world and kind of that fantasy setting, you're going to dig this. It's almost, like I said, for me, it's almost too much. It's so, it's like, should I be nice to this person? Should I not? I mean, you get so many options and dialogue. It's crazy the amount of writing that probably went into this game.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's truly, at this point for me, it's like an incredible storytelling experience, because you do have the freedom to like, essentially, like, even if you are kind of following the standard path, like you get to forge your own story based off of how you treat interactions, how you handle conversations with certain people. Like it really gives you a freedom to like really make the story your own. And for those of you who do like the D&D lore of it, like all of this is like in universe D&D lore. Like you can play this game and then go watch the D&D movie, and they've referenced the same places, and they, have conversations about the same people in some instances as well. Like it is a truly like, in-depth D&D type of game, even down to the combat. The combat is all turn-based dice rolls like D&D, so I mean,
brutal dice rolls sometimes too. Like sometimes it's like, fuck, man, I'm at 65%. I should hit this fucker at least more than once in 4 shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just bad.
But I don't know. I dig it. I like that it works on the Steam Deck, albeit I don't want to call it chunky, but I've kind of had to go online and look for recommendations at settings. Like I'm capping my frame rate at 30. I've turned off most of the, the superlative shit that would really make the game pop on a rig. Outputting it through the dock, it gets even more bootleg looking, gankier. But I don't know. It's nice to kind of take out there and play out on the deck. B-Mad here's got a question for you, as he has identified. Matt just needs dicks, chicks, and an easy mode. I'm definitely playing on easy. Don't worry, B-Mad. But for Nick there, his main question, Nick, is the combat rewarding enough?
As somebody who plays D&D, yeah, I do think it is, because I think the combat itself feels real to like when you're playing the tabletop game. Very strategic,
game. Especially if you're not on easy. Like after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm already getting a little upset that these combats are taking longer than I want to. So explore mode it is. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely, like, the combat can take a bit longer, but it does feel rewarding, because it feels like every battle feels like when you win it, you're like, man, I mean, Nick, it's kind of like it's kind of like the turn-based XComs of the world. That's how the combat is to me. If you ever played an XCOM or the what is it, the Gears of War game, Gears Tactics or something. Tactics.
It's kind of the same shit, to where you have limited movement, you have limited actions per turn. Something that I wasn't aware of, and I know we don't use it enough in Scoundrels of the New Republic, but Nick, I never knew there's an action point per turn, but then there's like, what was the other one? The orange action, and like a sub bonus action. But bonus actions typically can't be an attack. It's usually to either hype yourself up for the next turn or buff yourself or heal, so on and so forth.
Yeah, something like that. So like for your character in Scoundrels of the New Republic,
I could like rage Ewok or something.
Berserker,
I could do berserk
your
rage.
Rage is your bonus action. Yeah.
So back to BMAD, like it's not just clicking and finger crossing, like especially if you're playing on normal or harder. I would imagine you really have to plan every single action and sub action to ensure you win each battle.
Yeah,
because you're always outnumbered, right? I mean, it's always like fucking 8-4 or 8-3, depending on how many people you are picking up along the way.
Yeah, especially like early in the game, there are a lot of like outnumbered fights, like to the point where I am now. I mean, like I've actually had a fight where I was severely, it was like 15-4 or something like that. It was insane. And in situations like that, it's like, okay, what's your party composition look like? Like right now in my party, my main party that I run, and this may be a bit of a spoiler for Matt, but this would actually be a good spoiler for you to know, is I run Karlak, who is the tiefling barbarian that you can pick up from somebody else's
Those are like
line.
the Satan looking characters, right? The horns.
Yeah, the tieflings are like the horned ones. So like she's my tank, but I built her as like this crazy damage dealer. I have Gale, who is a wizard, big damage there. And then I have my character who's a druid, who's like a really versatile character, can do a lot of stuff in combat. Like I can change into like animal shapes in combat and use those. And then I have Shadowheart as my healer. And like that crew of 4, I feel pretty confident that I could win most fights with.
Yeah, it's the other thing I don't like. The inventory system I hate.
The inventory system is a little
fucking
bit
mess. Like you go to that screen and it's just nothing but shit, and like half the stuff you just send the wares and you got to wait till you find some asshole that has enough money to buy it from you. And it's like, eh.
Yeah, I send a lot of stuff to camp because you have like that chest in your camp. So like I
haven't even done the camp yet. Like if I go to menu and go to camp, how far does it remove me from where I'm at? Or is it like Diablo and I'll have a portal right back to where I was?
Oh no, yeah. Like, cause when you go to camp to like do a long rest, which like the long rest is how you recuperate all your spell slots and all your health.
I think I need to, because they keep bitching about being tired and shit. They're like,
yeah. So like when you do, so it's not a bad thing to do that. Like that's also where you'll have opportunities to have like conversations with your companions. But when you click go to camp, you just set up camp where you're sitting, or where you're standing. See, I should
quit being such a pussy and just hit the button, because I've been holding like. I'm on this adventure. I don't want to get ripped away from where I'm at, because I finally found where I need to go, and I don't want to go to camp. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah.
So yeah, you can do that and like do your long rests and stuff like that. So yeah, don't worry about that. You can go to camp let as long as you're not in
our
like
fans
combat.
know and try to tie this back into Star Wars, because so far they've missed the opening of the show. And then the middle of the show has been DC and video games. So we will talk some Star Wars at some point. But I am once again I'm finding humanoid alien type of characters to be quite attractive, and we're looking at one right here. Nick, how do you say the green girl's race? The Gishka or the Gishial?
The Githyanki.
Yeah. So it seems I too am into Githyanki. As like a sexual fantasy with the Twi'leks and the other ones, the Togrutas, and as the tieflings, like the female tieflings with those fucking horns on their head, especially like the Thrawn blue ones. I don't know what it is with women with bright colored like greens and blue skin and orange, if you will. It just does something for me. I like this. What's her name? The fucking Gish Grushkarushki. Lae'zel. I like her because she's a fucking cunt. Like she's just an angry cunt.
She is very angry.
And then this white guy, this dickhead, this fucking half elf, he's a little shithead. Like he tried to pull a fast one on me, and I'm like, fuck you. I rolled my dice and won. Yeah. It's like, eat shit, dick. Hey, it's fine. We'll move on. Like I said, I know it's not sci-fi, it's not Star Wars, but if you do like fantasy, the D&D system, rolling dice, you'll dig this, no doubt. I mean, just look, don't trust us. We're not gamers anymore. I mean, this game is like trending 9s plus everywhere. I mean, it's a winner, no doubt about it. Okay,
for sure.
All right, Nick, before we get into
it's time to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, I think we can. I'm getting there. I feel a little bit better than I did before we started. I had a feeling once I talked to Nick for a little bit, I might feel a bit better about the day, but I'm sure when we hang up, I'll go back to, boo-hoo, I can't use my arm for 6 more weeks. How am I going to do my job? And how am I going to break down Ahsoka tonight? How about that? What do you think? Now, this came out on Friday, Nick. They made the announcement like, hey, after our successful fan premiere that, fucking Props got to go to, I got to check out his story. This motherfucker, like, we've got to get out to LA for one of these events with him. Like, I mean, the dude is so connected now with Hollywood cool shit that it's undeniable. But he got to go see the premiere. We had another fan who went to see the premiere that they recapped a non-spoilery for us, which I will talk about here in a little bit. But it sounded like everyone had fun at the fan premiere last Friday. So on Twitter Friday afternoon, they're like, hey, by the way, we're going to go ahead and release it a day early, 6 p. Pacific on the 22nd, which means 9 p. for myself, 8 p. for Nick. Sadly, for a lot of you non-US folk, you're still going to get it on the 23rd, just a bit earlier than usual. So why do you think they've done this before with Kenobi? I mean, if you really want to get down to the business of things, it has never made sense to release a new series at 3 a.m. for the East Coast. Like, that's never made sense to me. Weird time. It really didn't make sense when they moved it to fucking Wednesdays from Fridays, but it's never made sense. Like, hey, we got this fucking blockbuster show we just spent $100 million on. Let's release it in the middle of the night when everyone's sleeping. So no one can start generating natural juice for us. We'll leave it for the nut jobs on the Pacific Coast that stay up till midnight and the East Coasters that work for big magazines and have to cover it. But who cares about fan support? Who cares about, natural fan praise and fan promotion? Let's release it in the dead of night. So they should always release new Star Wars, new Marvel in primetime, because primetime tonight, East Coast, 9:00, we're getting an Ahsoka movie. 90 minutes from 9 until almost 11, we're getting a fucking gift. And it's like, well, okay, well, let's just make this the normal thing. Let's air all of our shit in prime time like a normal show would, so people can start generating buzz that night, so the people that were sleeping can get up and watch it, and we have this natural juice going throughout the socials. But what the fuck do we know, right? So Ahsoka is coming out tonight. I will be watching it, probably this will be my note-taking version. I do not think I'm going to start breaking it down this evening, because who cares? I mean, the 50 of you that watch my breakdowns, you'll still watch it tomorrow. So that's the plan. That was some cool news. But before we get to our predictions, remember last week we did our wishes and wants. Now we're going to do our predictions. I got a little update I want Mr. Business to comment on here. And this came out yesterday. Tones actually dropped this in our Discord. Thank you, Lord Tones. But I saw it. It made some waves, and I think for reasons. But Nick, Lucasfilm and Disney announced yesterday, and seemingly in a new decision for their streaming content, that they have decided to release a select few Marvel and Star Wars streaming shows for home theaters. Blu-ray, 4K UHD, whatever you want to call it. And they chose Loki, WandaVision, and then the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. So my question to you, Nick, is I know you're like me, and like you go, I don't want any more dis in my life, and I get that.
Yeah.
But older people like Tones and people that like collecting shit, this gets them very excited. Business-wise, do you think this is plan B in their efforts to try to recoup more money for their streaming shows?
I think I don't know if it's plan B, but it's definitely part of plan A. Yeah, I mean, this is 100%. We need to get more money out of, these shows. How do we do that? Sell the physical disc version of it. I don't know if this is heralding potentially removing these from Disney Plus and then only having them be available via.
That'll be an itchy scenario if that ever comes to fruition.
Yeah, I doubt that would happen, because there's that is the reason that you subscribe. Like, the reason that you're subscribed to Disney Plus, if you're not like a parent or, like an adult with a child in the home, is like for this content, so you can watch this content. So I doubt that they would remove it, but having them available for purchase gives them the option to, if they want to, because then they can say like, well, it's available for purchase. You can watch them whenever you want if you buy the digital or physical disc versions of it. So that's a possibility, but this is 100% to be like, okay, like these shows have run their lifespan on Disney Plus. Like, it's very possible that they've seen like the number of streams go down for season 1 and season 2 of The Mandalorian, because they've been out for a while now, especially season 1's been out for quite a while. There's probably not a lot of people who are, watching season 1 for the first time on Disney Plus. Usually like the playthroughs that are happening now are probably rewatches. So they can probably look at that data and say like, okay, these shows have kind of run their lifespan, so let's now put them out for physical purchase, and we have like a new life cycle for it that we can actually make some dollars off of. And for them, like, production costs for DVDs is essentially nothing. So
what I don't get, and I guess I understand it based on the marketing cycle here, but they're sitting on The Mandalorian till almost Christmas time. So, I mean, outside of that just being, hey, here's a quick, easy Christmas gift, you would think you'd want to lead with that over the Marvel shit.
Yeah, I think that they probably feel like the Mandalorian ones are going to be more of the collector's item, and there's more I feel like they also know that while the Star Wars audience is smaller than the Marvel audience, there is more fanaticism within the Star Wars audience that will lead people to buy.
Yeah.
And they're probably like, okay, then this is like this is the perfect time to release it. Holiday season, holiday. You're always like, also like if you release during holiday, you can expect a very high upfront.
Hey, stocking stuffer, get it for young
stuff.
Nick, jam in season 1, 2 in that sock, that type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I
mean, Batsy asking who buys physical media, and that's a good question. But I think Nick just hit it. You know us, right? Us Star Wars fans. A lot of us are unstable when it comes to how we want to honor the franchise. And by that, I mean how much money we spend on inanimate objects to, kind of worship them, to remind ourselves why we love this franchise. So, like Nick said, the fanaticism alone will probably generate a decent dollar figure.
Yeah. It'll pull a decent number of
and listen, I mean, I don't want to get on Tones, but he's the one that shared it, and he's pumped. He's like, listen, I still like physical, and Tones is in an older generation. He's in his 50s, and I could definitely see that with older people not wanting to, familiar is familiar. So I don't think these sales would generate as much as they did if it released, in 2010. They would have blown the fuck up. I mean, millions and millions. But I do think from the collector aspect alone, that FOMO of I got to get the Steelbook, it might have a picture in there that I haven't seen before. Or if it's a limited edition, I got to get it. Oh, it's going to be worth X amount of dollars in 50 years. You're going to have sales like that. And the obvious holiday bump will kick in too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, in my mind, definitely like recoup money or like another revenue stream for these shows, and like honestly expect this for other shows as well. Like expect this to happen for other Marvel and Star Wars shows moving forward. I doubt that this is going to be the only time that they do it. The only reason that they would stop or not if they have
to go bury them in the New Mexico desert next to the Funkos and
exactly. Like exactly. So and I don't expect that sales will be too bad on them.
See, but it is interesting. Yeah, like shows they pick, they're clearly they're tent poles. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't fuck with much else. They went with the early ones before the saturation kicked in, especially on the Marvel side. I can't think of it. I mean, Loki really is the standout Marvel show at this point. I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, Loki was good. I liked WandaVision a little bit better, but only because
so different.
I like Scarlet Witch.
It was so different the way they handled just telling it through the eras of television. But really, I mean, any show after that's been okay but forgettable at best.
Yeah.
I mean, Secret Invasion just fucking pittered out, sadly. I was digging it, and then they just fast forward that motherfucker.
They really need to stop making shows. Like they need to stop making specifically for Marvel. Yeah,
you're right, because
they need to stop.
Marvel still pumps out 2 or 3 movies a year, and they're still doing a bunch of shows. Where Star Wars, 0 movies and maybe 1 or 2 shows. That's why when that article came out, I still think Bob was mostly talking about Marvel being kind of the gluttonous shit.
And like Marvel's just gotten to a point now to where it's like you have to. The only people who can follow it are crazy hardcore fans, because there's too many things that interweave into shows, back into movies, back into different shows, back into this movie. Like there's too many things that you need to watch in order to keep up with just the basic of where this universe is sitting, that like nobody in their right mind would sit there and keep up with all of it. I mean,
Secret Invasion alone, like if you just came in that cold, you'd be doing a lot of, what, who, he? How do you know him? How do you know her? Why you like each other? You're right. I mean, there's a lot of homework involved these days to get into the MCU.
Yeah, and like their formula for phases 1 through 3 pre-Disney Plus release is like, hey, big tentpole movies coming out, all interconnected together, and then the big showdown. And then from Endgame on, they were like, we're gonna make 50 TV shows, and we're gonna have all the like the same number of movies coming out, and they're all tied together, and it's just become like this miasma of drivel.
Oh Jesus!
That, like,
Nick was reading
so
the fucking
hard to
dictionary
follow.
this weekend, or at least a thesaurus.
Yeah,
I mean, my
okay.
God, a miasma of Captain Phasmas.
It's bad. Marvel has become bad.
Marvel bad,
and
Star Wars okay.
Yeah, Star Wars better. DC trash can.
Oh man!
So
what movie's coming out this week?
I
Gran Turismo. How about that? That movie's finally hitting theaters.
Yeah, I saw the preview for that, and I was like, "This is so." It was such a weird preview.
Yes,
because they were like interviewing people in the preview. Like, I guess they did like early screeners for it, and like they were interviewing people from it, and they were like based on a true story. I was like, "What fucking true story?"
And I think, isn't it Neil Blomkamp? Isn't he involved somewhere? I mean, he's just based on District 9 alone. He's one of my favorite creatives of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a good director. Yeah, I mean, he is the director.
So, I mean, I almost want to go see it, even though I know it's the franchise. It's based on the fucking video game.
Yeah, and that's what has me saying, like, how is this based on a true story? Like, they keep saying, they said it like 3 times in the trailer, based on a true story, based on a true story. I was like,
yeah, because what's his name?
True story?
Fucking damn it. Yeah,
David Harbour and Orlando Bloom is in it.
I don't know. I might go because it's looking like we're gonna have to cancel Scoundrels this week. So I might head out tomorrow night and catch the early of Turismo.
Yeah, good. Yeah, go check it out and tell me how it is, because I'm confused as to what this movie is.
We'll see if it makes it to DVD like The Mandalorian. So I mean, look, I mean, they look nice. The steelbooks look cool, but again, who's got the space for this shit? Especially if you're a collector asshole like myself.
Okay, here's the true story. It's inspired by the real story of Jan Mardenborough, who is a character in the movie, who was a Gran Turismo player who became a professional race car driver.
No shit.
So,
okay.
Interesting.
So yeah, it is rooted in the video game and reality. How about that? Who the fuck knew?
Yeah, crazy.
Okay. Well, Bat came in a little late. Thank you, Bat, for doing the research, but Nick is quicker. He's better.
Yeah. Got on top of it. But yeah, so keep your eyes out for those physical disc versions of those Marvel.
Yeah, you can actually pre-orders coming up on August
28th.
28th. Loki releasing first, September 26th. Then WandaVision, Thanksgiving. And then Mando season 1 and 2 hitting both on December 12th. So have fun spending yo money. Oh, there she is, Our Lady in Orange. Looks so yummy. Oh, Rosario. Hey, it's Ahsoka time, my friends. Like we said, we got the show dropping the first 2 episodes in a few hours here. All right, it's 6 o'clock on the East. 3 hours ago, before I'll be settling in ever so gingerly on my couch, so I don't hurt my stupid ass arm and back, to watch the debut of Star Wars Rebels in live action. And as promised last week, we gave you our wishes and wants. So things as fans we really wish to happen. And now this week, we're going to lay down some predictions. I'm not going to lie. I think just because of where my mind was at this morning, I didn't do good. My predictions are pretty fucking basic and boring and shitty. I'm not too pleased with myself, but we're here. We've got to commit to the segment, so we're going to do it. But I am trying to get more excited to watch the show later. I just, as I said earlier, when Nick and I did our show between shows, I'm struggling mentally to really give a fuck about anything right now, and that includes Star Wars time. That includes Ahsoka. That includes producing content for Star Wars time. I'm just, it's kind of been all summer, but now with the arm, it's really come to the forefront. Just like, is this really what I want to keep doing? So we'll see. We will see. The show, more than likely, producing long form YouTube content that 50 people watch. I may be getting even closer to finally being able to turn that part of my FOMO off and just moving on with life. So, and this might do it. So let's keep our fingers crossed, but I have a feeling you'll still see some Ahsoka videos at some point tomorrow, because I'm a goon and I still am on vacation. But moving forward, who the fuck knows? Like I said, it's rough going with one arm. Rough going when you put in the effort that you do. You have your IG ripped from you, and then you just engagement across the board is piss. It's like, what's the point? We've put ourselves out there. The internet has reacted, and we are who we are. And I just need to give up that dream that, making one additional video is going to finally be this switch getting flipped. It ain't going to happen. So we'll see.
We're too old to be popular.
Yeah,
on the internet.
It really is, man.
That, right?
I just got to take my medicine and realize, like, hey, I'm not what people desire when it comes to Star Wars stuff. So
we have like a loyal following. We have people who listen to us week over week. That's we have fun when we do the show, and that's
that's what it is. I'm with you, and I want to get to that mental state, but I'll even feel bad like letting down the Bats and the Tones of the world without my breakdowns, and that's how weird I am. And it's a form of narcissism if you really want to break it down. It's like, well, my God, how could I deprive these people of my glorious excellency? It's like, wake up, asshole. You're not that great, okay? People don't give a fuck. You've put in 13 years of effort on the internet to try to niche something out, and it just has not happened. So fucking wake up, smell the coffee, and get over yourself. And I think I might be there. So if you see the content kind of drop off on YouTube, try not to give me a hard time, because there is a reason for it. It's just like, how many times am I going to push the fucking boulder up the hill? You know what I mean? To just have it come roll down and flatten me. So here we go. I dig the comic stuff too, Bat, but even those don't get any fucking looks anymore. It's just like, it's all fucking dead. It's all dead.
It's like, it's also just a bad time for Star Wars. I'm just going to be honest.
Listen, we know the secret. Like, I know how I can get more viral views. I just need to turn into a scumbag and fucking hate Star Wars and say Star Wars is ruined, and they ruined it, this girl ruined it, this girl ruined it, this person of color ruined it, and then, hey, we'd be in fucking business. But that's not us either. So, all right, appreciate you, Bat. I get you. I know it's okay. I know you're gonna miss the content. It's something I'm gonna have to physically break free from. It's very hard for me to do because it'll feel like I'm quitting, and I don't quit. All right. Anyways, here we go. Predictions. And as I said, I don't know. I feel like some of these are kind of lame, very basic, but you never know where Nick and I will go once we discuss them right here on the SWTS. So, I mean, last week I had a much more poignant wish for this, but my prediction now, little less detailed so it can hit. But I'm predicting Clone Wars era flashback with Anakin at minimum. So we're going to see a young Snips, General Skywalker. He's going to have the long hair. He's going to have the scar. And it's going to be kind of one of their, I think it's going to be one of their more jovial memories. I think it's going to be a positive memory of Ahsoka. So there's a prediction for you, Nick.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for that. I definitely wouldn't expect it to be like one of the darker moments in their relationship, unless it was, like I mentioned last week, a flashback of that moment right before the Siege of Mandalore in Clone Wars Season 7, which would be like, not necessarily like a super dark moment, but not all, also not one of the most jovial moments between those two. At that point, Ahsoka had already exiled herself from the Jedi and, everything else. So it was a little bit harder than that, but I could definitely, I definitely expect to see some sort of flashback with like, a young Snips, maybe like a younger Snips and like a more cocky Anakin during the Clone Wars. And those two kind of like doing their little master apprentice thing. So yeah, I think that's a good call. For sure.
I feel like for the casuals, you have to establish their bond, and that it was good for a time until he went off the reservation. So that's why I would like a more lighthearted type of look back. I'm not going to get into this. This is what I was talking about last week with Bespin Bulletin. I can confirm there is going to be a prequels era flashback. That's all I'm going to say. and it's going to be pretty fucking wild if it plays out as explained. But that's not the one I'm predicting, because I know that's going to happen. I am predicting a more lighthearted Clone Wars era flashback, young Snips, General Skywalker, and we may even find that they did hire a young actress to play Snips. I'll extend it into that. How's that?
Oh, look at that.
Disinferno, Ahsoka will be peak. I hope so. That's right. Actually, I got to find the little summary. Go ahead, Nick. Take the next one.
Yeah. All right. So next up in the special topics, or our wants and predictions for Ahsoka, is Force Ghost Anakin and Ahsoka chat. Yeah, I think that one's almost like a take it to the bank kind of thing for me. And if it's not in there, it would be kind of upsetting. We've obviously established Anakin's character as a Force ghost at the end of ROTJ, but I don't believe we've ever seen him in full Force. I mean, we haven't seen him in full Force ghost form since then, and this is the best time to bring it back. There is so many. I mean, like I think I mentioned last week, I think it would be interesting even if they did one like as soon as, early in the season, maybe even kind of like picking up from the Corvus location where where Ahsoka first met up with Din and Grogu, and like maybe or Anakin pops in right after they leave. If they've already established some sort of relationship through the Force Ghost bond, then maybe he has a chat with her right after that. Or if we're going to treat this as like this is the first time Anakin is approaching her as a Force Ghost, then perhaps it comes later at a more pivotal point in the series.
We touched on this a bit last week, Nick, and I'm feeling it's going to be more similar to the Qui-Gon Kenobi ghost relationship in the Kenobi series, where Anakin as a Force ghost is not going to reveal himself until she's gone through all the trials and tribulations. And I'm not saying she's going to come out on top, but is going to come out in a scenario where she may need a little bit of a pep talk, and that could be the reach out. Very similar to where Qui-Gon at the end more or less said, "Hey, buddy, I've been here all along. You just haven't been looking or seeing me, or open to the idea of it." So I'm thinking this Force Ghost Anakin, which means he's good, back to the light, and Ahsoka will be saved for the end. Yeah, I think so. It could happen that way too, for sure. And like it would make the most sense that they haven't like established that relationship yet, because like if you jump in and it's like, oh, they're talking like they've talked like this before, then there's like a lot of filling the gaps. And it's like, well, how long have they been talking? Like when did he start feeling comfortable enough to reach out to her? No,
Has he reached out to anybody else?
I want this to be their first connection as light side Anakin. And it should be at the end, because it's going to have to be in a moment where she's either feeling really down like she fucked up, or where she went through a ton of shit and just needs that final like, hey, you've got this. Okay. I've trained you for this. You've exceeded what I would have become. You can do that type of shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably the best option for how to get this done. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, Filoni's probably got his own ideas of how this should go. So, all right, this one I'm gonna go to Disinferno real quick, because I thought I wrote this one down, but I did not. But Disinferno's asking, do you think we will see Ahsoka the White? And that was going to be one of my predictions. I think I actually was one of my wants last week, and I do hope by the end, and maybe this is when Anakin comes, she has transitioned into the White. Robe, staff, all that shit. I'm not saying it's going to be an epilogue, but I would like to see that transition Disinferno for sure. That is a prediction. Yeah, and he's also saying earlier review says there's no setup for casuals. I mean, all right. I've already talked about my thoughts on that. I think it's a bad decision, but again, like we've guessed, and I like I said, I have a recap from a fan that is spoiler free. I vetted it. I feel very comfortable reading through it when we're ready for that. But it does sound like episodes 1 and 2 are the trailers. So they were like pretty much everything in the trailers is episode 1 and 2 outside of maybe one scene. So who knows? Like it sounds like 1 and 2 is like, oh, let's kind of get things set up, and when 2 ends, you're like, okay, I see where the main arc is going now. I like this too from Bat. Let's get a little over under here on Chopper's body count. We did get a clip. I did not watch it. It's the from the trailer where you see Chopper and the Phantom with Hera, and they seem to be escaping and shooting at the same time. So what do you think? Over under on Chopper's body count. We know he's one of the most murderous droids that is on the good team. You know, he's not like a BT or a 000. He's not that crazy. But I guarantee you he has BT and 000 posters in his room.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that his body count, I would say, man, let's do an over under here.
Well, yeah, Bat set the over under at 66. So
oh, I think under. I think under 66. I was going to say something probably like the only way that I see him getting to 66 is if he causes
like takes
a
out
big
like
explosion.
A Star Destroyer.
Yeah, like if like he somehow bumblefucks his way into like causing a huge explosion somewhere that kills a bunch of people. But if we're talking about
he
like
purposely drops a tactical nuke on Naboo.
Yeah. I'm going to say 10 to 12.
Okay.
I'll say that.
So you're taking the under on 66. I think the casino of Bat is going to go broke on this one. But yeah, I'm going to go. I like 10. I like 10. I like a nice 10. Okay.
Yeah, I think 10. I think 10 would be appropriate. And I think it also wouldn't feel like, oh, geez, like Chopper just fucking really went off and killed a bunch of people. I feel like that would be the appropriate number.
And Bat's saying she was the white, and he's right, but Dave has also said that epilogue's timeline is a little fluid at this point in time. So who the fuck knows what's what? Because I'm with you there. She was technically the white, and it seemed like it would have been during the Mandoverse timeline, but hey, that's the beauty of animation and live action. When there's a few years in between, you just kind of pretend, right? So okay, moving on here. In this one, dude, I have flip-flopped all over the place. You know, I've been naming one character to be the reveal, but now I've let the internet almost influence me into this prediction, but I'm going to run with it because, you know, you can't be glorious if you play it safe all the time. And I'm going with Merrick, the Inquisitor, is going to be a version of Starkiller. Fuck it. I've finally like looked at enough dumb shit on the internet to go, you know what? Why the fuck not? And one of the last things, it was in our Discord, by the way. If you want to join our Discord, we got an open link in Instagram. Hit StarWarsTime.show and check out the bio link there. But we piss around in there throughout the week. But it was an interview with Whitwer, Nick. I don't know how old it was, but he's like, yeah, when I talked to Dave during Rebels about Starkiller, Dave was like, yeah, well, who knows? Maybe he would have been an Inquisitor in this canon or whatnot. So knowing Dave, and I kind of caught on to this last week when they were making a big deal about the whole Master and Apprentice thing in the Ahsoka series. All right, you know, Anakin and Ahsoka, Master Apprentice. Baylan Shin, Master and Apprentice. Sabine Ahsoka, Master and Apprentice.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you really want to get crazy and fucking really tweak the nipples of hardcore fans, it would be wild to also showcase what happened to Vader's dark side apprentice, you know, because
that would be the opposite of tweaking my nipples. I would truly hate it, but if it happens,
I mean, do you see any narrative potential in showing how Vader in the light created an Ahsoka, and then the dark he created a Starkiller?
No.
Okay.
I think that there's way more narrative opportunity to continue threads than to start threads that you're going to assuredly just kill in this show anyway. Like, because what are you going to do with them? Like, okay, you have Starkiller for what, 8 episodes, and then you kill him? Like, what's the point?
Hey,
like,
I'm with you, dude, but I don't know. I still want it to be Barriss. That was my wish, but my prediction, I don't know. The name, Dave being on record, like saying these things, it's just, I don't know. This is my diciest of predictions. and I'm fine being made fun of. I still think narratively, Barriss makes the most fucking sense. But we've all agreed here on this dumb show that Star Wars, even under Dave, narratively, a lot of times doesn't make sense. Like they don't.
I know.
They don't go for the shit that just would be like fan la la. They just don't do it.
I like just if you want to make him somebody that like is, whatever. Like I don't know if he's doing it purely just to bring Sam Witwer back and be like, look at this cool character who's now canon again and was Legends. I mean, fine, do it. But like I said, at this point, I think there's so many open threads that they don't know what to do with that. Like they just decide to kill them, and I think that's the wrong thing to do.
Well, remember, these are just our predictions. These aren't guaranteed, so I wouldn't get too upset. But I don't know. And you know me, I was the first one to be like, this is stupid. And I agree. Narratively, you do not get the same payoff, the same fucking punch that you would if it's someone from her past.
Because here's what happens if it's Starkiller. All of the story that we know of Starkiller is not canon.
Correct.
It's not anymore. So what do you just recanonize it? Does Dave Filoni come out and say after the show, like, well, Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2 are now canon? Or does he say only Force Unleashed 1 is canon, Force Unleashed 2 is not canon because people hated it? Like,
no, I would think it would be treated like all the other stuff where that would remain Legends, and then this is the canon version of Starkiller.
So yeah, I mean, I just don't see the value in it other than like, again, like a subset of fans. And I think that's like, it's just not the right move to make. Like you're already the show is already speaking to one subset of fans. So like keep it consistent in terms of that and like go with something that subset of fans that you've built this show for will appreciate, because there's no guarantee that people who watched Clone Wars or Rebels would know anything about Starkiller if they don't play video games.
Dude, you're nailing it. Like, there's no doubt about it. But as I've said, in Mando, Book of Boba Fett, we've all have seen like what the story could be, and we see what they do. So
yeah,
there's been a lot of times where it's like, hey, why just connect the fucking dots, people, and they want to go on an alternate path here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I don't know. I'm not. Again, this isn't our want. This isn't our wish. This is a prediction, and I'm just going on past Star Wars and not following through on dot connecting when it makes sense. I mean, you and I could write The Mandalorian and do just as good, if not better, than Dave and John, because we stick to the fandom. We understand the old arcs that could still be paid off on. But for whatever reason, they sometimes choose to make a different choice. And it's never the choice that fans make. So that's why I'm cautioning everyone here. And I'm on your side. Starkiller as Merrick is fucking dumb as shit. But they've done it. They've done some dumb shit in Mando vs. Star Wars when they could have plucked from Legends or plucked from Clone Wars, plucked from Rebels. They, for whatever reason, don't make that choice. And I'll die on this fucking hill, but Merrick should be Barriss, or if anything, Dark Ezra. Makes the most narrative sense for Ahsoka.
The only way that I will accept that it's Starkiller is if it is Ezra and he's just goes by Starkiller.
Okay.
Now. Like if you want to do some shit like that.
Because that would pay off on, it would be a good story, and it would pay off on my prediction, so I could sit here and King Kong myself in October and talk about how fucking cool I am. So I'm down. I mean, good. There you go.
Maybe that's the angle
I'll
that they
fucking take it, dude. I'll take it.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right. This next one here, I think this is almost a take it to the bank just based off of some stuff we said or seen in the trailers. But Sabine will showcase the Force. So this was a good one from you. And, you know, given what we've seen in the trailers, like her trying that Force push out of nowhere against Shin, like
a new Jedi will rise. I mean, remember last week we were talking about is Ahsoka going to call herself a Jedi again, or are we talking about Sabine becoming one? Who the fuck knows? So, yeah, I think one of the big moments here, and it probably will be late in the season, will be Sabine finally making that connection to her midichlorians and getting her little Force juicers going in her DNA and she's going to show us that, yes, through her tutelage, starting with Kanan in the Darksaber, oh my God, going to Ahsoka, she has learned the ways of the Force.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one is definitely a path that they should go down. They've already teased it a little bit. They tease it a little bit even in Rebels. So like paying off on that thread would be a really great way to continue Sabine's story.
And she needs to remain unaligned Force user.
Yeah, I mean,
she can't go work with Luke or any of that stupid shit. She's a Mando Force user, just like Grogu before her.
Yeah. So, hopefully stick to that like archetype of character, new character archetype that they've built out. And I think it would be great if it did happen in kind of like a moment of need. If I think back to, other situations like with Rey and TFA in the forest, after Finn gets cut down by Kylo, Saber sitting there in the snow and pulls it over to herself. I mean, that moment to me is still one of my favorite Star Wars moments in recent memory.
It gets me all emotional still. I mean, that you got the Skywalker theme picks up and you're like, and she's got it and you're like, yeah. And then she becomes a Palpatine and ruins all that shit. So who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Who fucking cares in the end?
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, I think that, in a moment of need, her powers or her connection to the Force will show itself. And, based off of how this show's been presented to us, it seems like there's going to be a lot of instances of fighting, a lot of instances of like peril for these characters. So probably towards the end, we might get to see her finally have that moment of Force brilliance pop out.
Yeah, I mean, Bat's asking a good question here. And again, Bat, I don't know. I don't understand if it's the marketing team that does this to Dave or if Dave greenlights this shit. But Bat's saying, if Ahsoka is no Jedi, she's Sabine's master. How can Sabine be a Jedi? Wouldn't they just be Force users? I don't know. It's a great question. It's just, all I can tell you on last week's trailer, a new Jedi will rise. So that's all I'm going off of.
And the thing is like, she's already been like, she went to Luke's training grounds. Like, it's not like
maybe it is Ahsoka. Maybe Ahsoka, after all this, talking to Anakin, finally is like, you know what? I'm a Jedi after all. And there you go. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she helps. Like, we know that there were people helping Luke with his academy when it was taken down by Kylo. There had to be, because he already had students that had graduated and were like out in the galaxy, as far as I know, that were like knighted. And so there had to be somebody else there with him. Maybe it was Ahsoka. Maybe Ahsoka was killed by Kylo and that whole fucking kerfuffle or whatever. Like,
I mean, she does show up to help Rey and Tross. And if you're just an unaligned Force user, why would you do that? So maybe it is Ahsoka. Who the fuck knows? But all I can tell you, blame it on marketing.
Yeah, because the term, like, they can't get away from the term Jedi, nor do I think that they need to get away from the term Jedi. But what they need to do is stop fucking around with like, this is if they're a Jedi, just say they're a Jedi, or like just dude, it's so be dumb. More clear with like the clarifications of what people are, because at this point it's like, well, Grogu's not a Jedi, but he's a Force user, Mandalorian person that may end up getting a lightsaber at some point. Ahsoka's not a Jedi, but she was training to be a Jedi. She was a Padawan, and then she decided not to become a Jedi, but she'll become a Jedi again. Like, I think that the will they, won't they with the Jedi stuff is starting to get a little bit weird.
Literally ends the movie saying, I am all the Jedi.
The Jedi. Yeah.
Okay. So, but in my video game, Swago, she's an unaligned Force user. Like, White Robe Rey is still considered unaligned. Just like Supreme Leader Kylo is still considered unaligned. Even Ben Solo in the game is considered unaligned. So what are you guys? Are you fucking Jedi or not? Like it's like they're so fearful of using the term Jedi because of how faily they were in the prequel era and how fucking weird they were with relationships. It's like, well, we can't be Jedi anymore because Jedi failed, but we're still Jedi because we're not Sith. An unaligned force user just sounds fucking stupid, and it's like it's something made for a role-playing game, which it was.
Yeah. I mean, if they're gonna have like, if they really are gonna have like just a lot of unaligned force users, force sensitives out there that are just like no longer trying to strive for a path of Jedi or Sith or whatever, then we need to just like be more open about that in storytelling and how it's presented to audiences, because right now there is a lot of confusion around
especially with the sequel stuff. What a big deal. I mean, the sequel trilogy fucked a lot of stuff up. Big surprise. It's just like, I mean, Luke himself in The Last Jedi, the movie called The Last Jedi, tells his nephew, I am not the last Jedi.
Yeah. So,
I mean, Rey's next movie is about rebuilding the Jedi Order.
The Jedi Order. Yeah.
Apparently not a Jedi.
Yeah. It's just a verbiage thing. And like, I don't know if they've like, obviously like verbiage is typically handled in like, meetings with, nerds and, Filoni in there, like with all of the writers figuring out verbiage. And I just don't think that they've actually taken time to sit down and meet that out.
It's a great word. We've said it so much on this show that it's gotten into my brain to where I just want to keep saying it, because now it just sounds weird, like Jedi. I want my name to be Jedi. Right? You call me Jed for short, Jedi Matt. I mean, that is my email handle. So
that's your, what you call it, yeah.
Yeah, who the fuck knows Bat? But my prediction was Sabine's going to showcase the Force, not full Jedi. I've almost talked myself into when Ahsoka takes the white, she will become a Jedi once again. There you go.
Yeah, she'll be the new
from a certain point
Jedi something Paragon. Yeah.
All right. These were wishes, but now making them predictions. First being a Princess Leia name drop. I think that's important. I think it has to take place on the bridge of that New Republic cruiser we've seen, where you got Mons there, Hera's there, potentially Ahsoka petitioning the New Republic for help. I don't necessarily even want a holo of Leia. Let Carrie rest in peace. But I would like her name being mentioned in that meeting, or at least after that meeting, where the rebels are like, "What the fuck, man? Leia would go for this. I know the general would go for this. I know General Skywalker would be down." Something like that. Or the meeting with Mon Mothma would be like, "Yeah, you're all starting to sound like, Senator Skywalker now, and you're almost warmongering, and we can't go down that path." I want Leia's name to be used in a way to where we can see that she's already kind of grown discontent with the New Republic and how they want to manage their war machine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I don't just want, Princess Leia. I want it to be in a scene to where her name is being thrown around as like either Leia would sanction this if we went to her, or hearing Mon and the other leaders saying, listen, we can't go down what the senator wants to start doing. We can't build back up our army. We can't start sending fleets to these systems to investigate out of fear of starting another war. Like, that's how I want her name to be brought up.
Yeah, no, I think that would make the most sense too. Because obviously once the threat presents itself, then there needs to be conversations that happen about, militarization, getting forces ready. And I think that conversation would be the perfect place for it to happen. So yeah, I mean
go ahead. I was
saying, like, this was just like, this is the prime time for like Leia's resurgence into the galaxy too. Like, we know that this is when she starts to get involved again. Unfortunately, like with Carrie gone, there's no way for us to like, to really have a large presence for Leia.
Well, they would be doing the same thing they're doing with Hamill anyways, and they just ticky-tack some young actress in there and fucking use AI to create the voice and face.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but I do think that the method that you mentioned is probably the best.
It can't just be some throwaway bullshit like, oh, here's a plaque commemorating General Leia's win at the Battle of Endor. Like, I want her name to be involved in a conversation with meat. Like, as I said, either the rebels going, damn it, Leia knows what's up, Leia would let us do this, or the New Republic leadership being like, no, we can't have you doing what Senator Skywalker, maybe she is still a senator at this point, who knows? I don't know if she goes back to being general until she forms the resistance. But if you think about it, how could Leia not be brought up? I mean, she is one of the ultimate heroes of the rebellion. I mean, if you read these comics, dude, I mean, Leia is everything. She's the glue that holds the Alliance together in between getting their teeth kicked in Empire and their ultimate victory in Jedi. Leia is the shit. Like, she is the number one. Admiral Akbar reports to her. Everything funnels through fucking Princess Leia. Where when you watch Return of the Jedi, you don't think that, you don't know that, you don't know any better, and that probably wasn't in George's mind. But with the benefit of hindsight and time and comics, I've now learned that Leia has, and we kind of got it in Kenobi and a bit in Star Wars Rebels, but Leia has been heavily involved in rebellion since her fucking birth almost. And she should get way more credit than her brother. I mean, all he did was the two big things. He blew up a fucking Death Star and he helped, Palpatine die. I mean, huge fucking things. But without Leia's leadership early on to kind of guide the Rebel Alliance into what it became, fuck Luthen and them. Okay, he kind of, he did a lot, but it was ultimately Leia's the one that kind of took the ball once it was all gathered and fucking ran with it and slam dunked it in Palpatine's face.
Yeah, I mean, Leia was, Luthen was the one who kind of like opened up the doors to rebellion, and then Leia is the one that's kind of run it since his time has. Oh,
you know for a fact in the Andor season 1 timeline, Leia is actively involved in a cell. Like she may even 100%. Be on the council that Luthen referenced. I mean, she to me is maybe not as instrumental in bringing all the cells together, but she is definitely the one that once they were assembled, fucking ran with it and was able to take that ragtag group of freedom fighters into battle against the Imperials and take them down over 3 films.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, she was playing a role then. She continued to play a role like during this period too. So yeah, for sure.
All right, and then the next one is a Luke name drop, and again, it has to have significance, Nick. So I would want Luke's name. To me, like the best delivery would be in the conversation with Force Ghost Anakin and grown Ahsoka. Kind of referencing Anakin's son and what he has accomplished and what he's doing. And just hearing Anakin talk about Luke, right? We've never heard that outside of, hey, never. Luke, take off my, mask so I can see you with my own eyes. And that's about it. He's like, you were right. And I would like to hear Anakin speak about his son and what his son accomplished and what his son did for him in a conversation to Ahsoka. I think it would be fucking brilliant. It would be, I would probably cry. I would cheer. I would smile. It would be epic. And that's where I want it delivered. Luke's name should only be spoken by either Ahsoka or his dad.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that the opportunity is there. I think that on Anakin's side, there will be a lot of hesitancy for him to like even attempt to reach out to Luke just because of the history that they have. He
probably feels horrible. Like, I mean, even though Luke kind of... Yeah. Let him know all along, like, hey, Dad, even though you're trying to kill me in this battle on the fucking Death Star, I still love you. I know you're in there. So, yeah, I mean, Anakin probably is still dealing with, a little bit of trauma from his son showing him unconditional love when all he did was try to murder him.
Yeah, constantly, multiple times. So, I mean, I don't think that this is the right series to actually have that conversation with Luke and Anakin. I think that's a big screen moment.
Oh, no, I'm just saying Luke's not in the like I just want his name reference between Ahsoka and Anakin. Like, even if she's busting his balls, like, hey, at least you did one thing right with Luke. Even that I would take. But
yeah, no, I think that would be a perfect way to handle it. Is just like talking, like Ahsoka talking to him about like, he's, restarting, or he's trying to restart the Jedi Order, or he's training Grogu.
In Book of Boba Fett, when she goes and visits Luke and Grogu, doesn't she essentially say like, that's something your father would say, or blah blah blah. Like that's what I'm looking for. Just like Ahsoka identifying, like, hey, that's what your son would say that, or your son would have done this, or Anakin mentioning my son. I want to hear Anakin talk about his goddamn son that saved him from the dark side.
Yeah, no, I mean, I 100% agree. So, and it's hard, like, it would be hard for them not to do it, honestly.
Just makes sense.
Unless they're literally just afraid.
Yeah, but we know, I mean, Ahsoka has a bond with Luke, established. All right? Luke obviously is Anakin's son, established. There needs to be at least a name drop about their shared relationships in the Skywalker lineage.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a fucking just so basic, but we'll take easy wins, and as will Thrawn. So next prediction here, Thrawn is going to get his first big win against the New Republic. So Nick, I did the hard part. I gave us the basic line. Can you drill that down and make it any more specific? What the big win could entail?
Yeah, I mean the big win
Does
here
he take
would
out
be
a
interesting
planet?
because I
Does he
think
blow up a fleet? I mean.
See, like, I don't even know if he goes that far in this series. I almost think that the big win is just like literally making his way with Force into the galaxy, even though people like, Ahsoka, people like Tiva and, a Delphi squadron and stuff like that have been warning the New Republic, hey, there's something out there. Like, there is something coming. We need to be ready. I think the win is almost just going to be like being able to make his way back into the galaxy without any sort of military action from the New Republic. Like, he's just going to be able to walk in and be like, you guys are unprepared and I'm not, and now you're in trouble. Because I don't know if we get a huge like Thrawn comes in on the Chimera and fucking blasts something immediately. I almost think that this show ends with him like he's here. Is almost the end of it.
More I think about it, I'm with you. It wouldn't make sense because if you dump him in and he gets a big military victory, then Mando season 4 essentially has to address that right off the bat. But if he just slides in and we know that he's made it home, and he's ready to start enacting his brand of tactical terror, then So that would still count as a victory because that means our heroes in Ahsoka have ultimately failed.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, Ahsoka has known for God knows how long that he's coming back. Like she she's like fucking Poe in Tross. Somehow Thrawn has returned. Like, she's been calling for this for fucking years now, and nobody's listening to her. Like, nobody is putting any thought towards, like, well, what happens if this one admiral makes his way back in? They're either looking at it in a way that's like, well, what is he going to do? He's one guy. Or they're just completely unconcerned, and they're like, he's fucking gone, and so is the guy that he was with. Like, why do we need to worry about it? So I think the win is just like, he's back and nobody.
The good guys fail. Like their mission to prevent his return fails, and we know that has to happen. I mean, let's be real.
Because as far as we know, right? Like, before this movie that's supposed to happen, this crossover event movie, it's just Ahsoka, Mando season 4, and then the movie, right? Or is it supposed to be Ahsoka season 2 before that?
That's. If we go back to making Star Wars' report on how they may turn Mando season 4 into a movie. It's because he mentioned there was 2 prerequisites, and one is Mando season 4, and the other one he said was the tentative Ahsoka 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything going on with the strikes right now and stuff, that's obviously putting a damper on it. So it doesn't ultimately it doesn't matter if they make a movie or a show. It's not like
you can't do anything. You can't
make a show.
You can't write anything. You can't film anything. So
yeah, it's like, what's the fucking difference? It's going to take you about equal time to film a movie and this type of show anyway. The show may take a little bit longer, but are you really trying to tell me that they're going to really be that stupid and decide to do a movie before they do the big movie? Like,
right.
I don't know. I mean, it's.
I'm kind of with bad on this one. Let's say like everything works out and people get paid and we can start making entertainment again. Does Ahsoka ultimately perish in the Filoni movie?
Dude, so many people have to die. So many people have to die. Like, you can't have Ahsoka still alive. Like, you can't.
No, we agree with Bat. Like, Ahsoka doesn't make it out of the Mandoverse.
No, and neither does Ezra. Ezra doesn't make it out the Mandoverse.
Well,
fucking Sabine may not make it out the Mandoverse.
You're teasing a bit on our predictions because I had something like that for Ezra coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a
next one here. And this is kind of going out on the limb, but I don't know. This morning when I was thinking about this, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw this on the list. But I'm predicting that Shin, so Balin's apprentice, Ivana Sakno.
Yeah.
I am predicting she's going to have a change of heart.
Interesting. I feel like I could confidently say this if I knew anything about her. Like, she's just such a mystery. And like, if we knew that she was like a former Jedi Padawan who like is now working with Balin after the fall of the Order, like I could see her coming back, but with no backstory and no idea where she came from, it's so hard for me to say that she'll turn because like I'm struggling to see what would be the reason for her to turn.
Yeah, like, and again, I'm going way out there, but she was taken on by Balin at some point in time, who was a Jedi, a Force user. So he identified she had some sort of power. We have heard through the grapevines that she may be somehow tangentially connected to Night Sisters and their flavor of mysticism.
Yeah.
Who knows? Something happens. You know, bad guys tend to tell people what they want to hear to get them to do things. So, I mean, she could have been just conditioned all the years from Balin to where once she actually gets into the mix and starts tussling with the good guys and seeing what the bad guys are trying to do versus what the good guys are trying to do, maybe she has a change of heart. And like I said, I don't know where my head was at this morning. This one is pretty far out, but I'm running with it. I have a feeling because she's young and impressionable that she could have a change of heart.
It's possible, I guess. Yeah, I just don't know enough about her to like know definitively or not. I will say that the Night Sister part of it makes it less likely that she turns to the good side because the Night Sisters are notoriously evil people, aside from the one that was nice
Marin.
to whatever his name is, and that one. So it's hard to tell. It could almost also be like she's more evil than him. If she
that works for me too.
To Night Sister stuff.
All I wrote was will ultimately turn. I didn't say which way.
Yeah, could turn against Balin, kill that motherfucker because he's going soft.
There you go. So it works, man. Like I said, keep it simple, stupid, and we can get lots of wins on the Ahsoka series. Yeah. Okay,
I would say that verbiage may just be a win because we didn't commit either way.
Nick. I'm going to combine my Ezra ones here because it makes sense to me. So I initially just had Ezra returns change, and it's like, yeah, no shit. It's obviously going to happen, it's not a huge spoiler, but we've learned that he, obviously hasn't had his lightsaber in no space. And it sounds like he's kind of been watching Cobra Kai. So we're going to see Ezra at least in a different combat form.
If he's learned hand to hand, you know who he learned it from.
Yeah,
know who he learned it from.
The man himself.
Yeah.
So
man himself.
I'm going to just double them up because these were initially two predictions. So Ezra returns changed, and he gets taken off the board. So could you see Ezra just, kind of having a moment, getting one more hero moment, but just as soon as he's back, he's taken from us again?
I don't expect him to stick around long. I'll say that. It's just so hard.
I just feel like he's a
like,
tragic character. Like he's like a vintage tragic hero.
I almost feel like it's not an if he gets killed, it's a when he gets killed. Well, obviously it's a when he gets killed. I think that's like a very obvious statement to make. And it's like, when is the best time to kill this character? And I think the best time to kill this character is going to be in the movie. Okay. So I don't think he dies in this series, but I do think that he's going to have like this like Revan-esque type of arc, at least in this show, like in this series.
Yeah, where he's not all gonna be like, oh,
revenue.
hey, fucking Snips and Sabine, you're back, yay, let's patty cake and talk about old times. He's gonna probably be a little edgy.
He'll come back and be like, do you guys not, like, let me explain to you what Thrawn wants to do. Like, almost like kind of be on Thrawn's side a bit, and then has to
like, no, hear me out. Like, he's killing a bunch of innocents is good sometimes.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
We've got reports that this Mon Mothma is a fucking softie. You know, she's a little too far left, tree hugging. You need a little force in your government to make sure things run nice and smooth. So I'm Team Thrawn. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, like, it's almost unavoidable for him to have some sort of, like, issue that needs to be overcome after he gets back, because, like you said, there's no way he's just, like, it's not like he was frozen in time when he popped out with Thrawn to the outer, to the unknown
you would
region.
think, unless, like we said, the whales did something, or the Purgils did something funky and kind of put Ezra somewhere else, but they were literally in a tentacle-laced embrace with the Purgils on the Chimera as they were sucked into who the fuck knows where. So one would think, even with Star Wars science, that they ended up in the same location. And over time, maybe even through necessity, like survival, kind of like Zeb and Callus learned on that one episode where they essentially had to rely on each other, even as mortal enemies. And they eventually became friends. And I think we talked about it before. Like, there is a chance that Thrawn got to Ezra. And as Nick's saying, Ezra kind of is buying into some of the blue Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know. My reasoning for Ezra leaving in Ahsoka is kind of dovetails into our argument. Like, these people need gone. And it's like, why invest more storytelling into a character that had a pretty damn good arc with an earned sacrifice when he's already kind of had those moments? Like, Ezra had his Death Star moment in Rebels. If it weren't for Ezra, his sacrifice, the Rebel Alliance maybe never forms on Yavin and never has its success. So why further develop out this character when they've already had their hurrah?
Yeah, it's so hard because, man, I mean, that is like a really good point. And essentially, if you...
And I said taken off the board, not necessarily dead. I could also see him just being like, peace. Like, yeah,
just being like, this isn't my fight anymore.
I'm done. Like,
yeah. Because here's what could happen if he lives past this. The whole Mandoverse, just like the main character changes to Ezra because he's the most important person left.
And like we're getting into our conundrum of you can't have these mega people hanging around all the time. So that's why I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Ezra's had his time in the sun. He's not on the same level as an Ahsoka. Let's be real. I mean, I love Ezra, but I mean, she's had the Clone Wars, Rebels, and now live action. I mean, she's a darling of the Star Wars character databank. She's up there. I mean, you might as well just say she's in the Skywalker family. She's in that saga.
Yeah, I mean, she's in that pantheon. She's on the fucking Mount Rushmore for sure. But it's like, yeah, I mean, if you leave him, because then it's like getting to a point to where it's
then
like,
you
okay,
really do
Thrawn's
have the Avengers and
stuff.
Thrawn's nobody. Like if you have an Ahsoka, you have an Ezra, you have a Sabine with the Force, you have the Mandalorians, you got Din, you got Grogu, you got Bo, you got all these motherfuckers. It's like, well, how the good guys suck in Star Wars then. If you had all these motherfuckers, if you had the A-team at your disposal with the Empire defeated and just these remnant fucking bullshit cells, and you still allowed another Imperial force to rise, Star Wars good guys are the worst good guys in all of pop culture.
Maybe you don't
you suck. You deserve to be ruled in persecution.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I think you have talked me over to it because it's like fucking Mace Windu. He's too strong to be kept alive. Yeah. We have to kill him. We have to take him out. I don't know, because it's like if he sticks around through Ahsoka, he's not going to be. They're not going to feature him
No,
prominently.
because
in Mando
why are you going to
season 4?
dedicate more
Just
narrative time to that character when you've been driving the Mandoverse through Din Djarin and Grogu and Ahsoka? Let's be real, and tangentially Boba Fett. You're not going to now drive it through Ezra. So I don't know. I just And I hate to say it because I love Ezra. I think he's a fantastic character. He has one of the best character arcs in all of Star Wars, as Rebels, the series, does. I mean, he starts from a shit dick fucking ne'er-do-well kid who's all depressed about his lot in life, and he ends up being a damn near Jedi Knight that makes the biggest sacrifice of the Rebel Alliance to date. When he's like, listen, I'll kill myself as long as it gets rid of Thrawn.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe like he's the sacrifice at the end of this one. Like he's, like.
But even that fails, and that would make it hit even more. Like Ezra, like he's thinking he's gonna repeat, right? And it doesn't work this time, and he actually gets terminated, and Thrawn lives.
Yeah, and like that's the motivating factor for, at the very least, the motivating factor for Ahsoka and Sabine moving forward. I mean, realistically, nobody else knows who this dude is. like all of the established characters in the Mandoverse have no fucking clue who Ezra is. Literally only Phoenix Squadron and Ahsoka know who he is. So like that would be a motivating factor for them, but for everybody else it'd be like, well, we lost somebody who could have probably helped us, so that's not good. Like So yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe he goes out here, or is just like you said, maybe not killed, but is just not like becomes a non-factor in some way.
He gets lost in space again, and 10 years from now, like, we can find him in the next next live action series.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go hang out with the Purgils again. This was way cooler out there.
Okay. Moving on, next prediction. Thrawn has some form of mysticism helping his forces.
I think that's
we've heard some rumblings and rumors that wherever he's at, the people he's been interacting with have a different... It's essentially the Force, but it's not. Okay, they tap into it differently, and we've heard rumors that it potentially can raise the undead and yada yada yada. So I see that being a thing, especially with Morgan Elsbeth's ties to the Night Sisters and her obvious fucking hard-on for Thrawn. All that has to make sense somehow. Why would this former Night Sister give so much shit about an Imperial admiral?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a win for sure. That also like is what more leads me to believe that like once Shin is like aware of what's going on, that would like push her even further towards the Thrawn side of things, because she's like, oh well, this is something that I'm familiar with. Again,
I just said ultimately turn. I didn't say ultimately which side. Turns. It could be a quarter step. It could be a full 180. You never know. So
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I think that's an easy thing.
I mean, are we going to get the zombie Imperials? You think?
The thing is like that was a really like popular.
That, was it that Japanese art form where they repair stuff with gold inlays? What's that called?
Oh, okay.
But like we've heard that essentially the armor is going to be like white with like cracked gold shit, kind of like Kylo's helmet. So I don't know. We'll see.
There was a book in old canon. I think it was just called Death Troopers that did involve zombie stormtroopers.
It's a thing for sure.
Yeah. So it's possible. But man, would that be fucking cheesy as hell? Like,
it depends how they do it. Like if it's done with purpose and explanation, great. If it's just, they're walking around going like ooga booga ooga booga ooga booga. Yeah, it's gonna be goofy.
Because it's like, what's their capability? Because we've seen like the Night Sister thralls, and they're not very threatening. Let's be honest.
But we do know they can raise shit from the dead. I mean that was established in Clone Wars when they get essentially genocided by Grievous and Dooku. Yeah,
and then they all fucking what's her name?
Props. You're right about something being gold in this show. He's always.
Gosh, he's always tickling our taints. He's always teasing. He's always
tickling our taints.
Teasing.
Well, I've got his number now, and he hit me up after his screening and said it was fantastic. And everyone should dig it. But I'm sticking away from any spoilers. Fuck it, who cares?
Yeah, because like to me, again, like this is just coming from me reading the books and shit. But it would make more sense to me if like he's out there, like Thrawn is out there and clearly has a way to one, communicate, and two, travel at some point. I don't know how long it takes after their initial Purgil jump to wherever the fuck they went, but like at some point they get out of the Purgil tentacle grasp and they find themselves in a position to be able to one, travel around wherever they are, and two, communicate with somebody. So to me, it would make the most sense that Thrawn gets in contact with the Chiss again. Like he like reaches back out to the Chiss ascendancy and comes back with some sort of Chiss presence into the known galaxy. But I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if they just don't want to address like bringing in a whole new race of fucking characters and like then having to explain like, well, who are the Chiss and why do the Chiss hate this and what is the blah, 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 blah. And like really trying to go deep into that. Yeah. So like maybe they're like, fuck it, zombies. Yep. Like that's the easiest way to do it.
Hey, The Walking Dead did well for a while. Let's get some zombies in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's like they had 55 spinoffs of that show, so let's see if we can make some Star Wars zombies. I mean, yeah, like I could see it though. I mean, the Morgan Elsbeth thing, like you said, is the biggest tip off that there's going to be some sort of. He's
definitely not coming back the way he left. I think we can agree on that. Okay, next one here, Zeb and Captain Teva's Adelphi outfit gets involved. All right, remember them from Mandalorian? Yeah. That's where we saw Zeb in live action for the first time. You know Zeb's got to at least ring in. There's a chance that he went and talked to his rebel friends in that moment when the Mando was coming through saying, hey, you know, some shit's going on. Maybe it was even he called up Sabine. You never know. But I could see Zeb and Teva making an appearance because they are, like Hera, attached to the New Republic, but as we saw, they're also getting a little disenfranchised with the New Republic and all the red tape and all the waiting. I could see them either giving some information or maybe coming to their aid in a space battle of sorts.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree on this. I think that this is a free
you got to get Zeb involved somehow. You can't have a Rebels live action reunion without Zeb, who has already been established in the Mandoverse. It's okay if Kanan doesn't show up because we know he's fucking a pile of ash. That's all right, but
yeah.
At this point, you've got to get them all in the same room. It would be silly. It would kind of be the silly choice to not include, for at least a moment, Luke, Han, and Leia in even like talking to each other in the sequels.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, no, that's a strong call.
Next, Ahsoka is going to kill Balin. What do you think about that? She can kill, right?
Yeah, I think that she can kill now. Like she's no longer hindered by Jedi rules.
There's a part of me that's almost thinking that Balin and Shin may be kind of off the map by mid-season.
See, dude, I like you put out Shin will turn. My thought is that Balin will turn as soon as he sees, if he ever sees the zombie shit, he's like, I fucked up. This was a huge mistake. Because like for him, like he's like his background's coming. He was a fucking Jedi. Like even to some degree, he still respects life and the Force in some way. Like he may view it differently, and he may use the Force for different means, or like as a mean to different ends than he did when he was a Jedi. But I still think that in him, because of his Jedi training, there is still a respect for the natural order of things.
Unless you're on that New Republic shit, because he looks like he fucks them up.
Yeah. So like, but I think that like once he sees like the bastardization, if it's true about like the zombie stuff, like once he sees the bastardization of life and the Force that would be happening with these things, he may change his mind, where I think that pushes Shin the other way. Because Shin is coming from a background of Night Sisters.
Type this down so we have it for mid-October. Make sure you don't forget that. Re-edit that, because you just I like that. I think that's a great analysis, I believe.
So yeah, I mean, that's the way I'm thinking about it. But it could also be that she fucking pulls an Anakin, chops that motherfucker's head off.
I'm the master
style.
now, bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even because of Rey's unfortunate passing in real life. I don't foresee, for some reason, I don't think Balin ever was meant to make it out of Ahsoka. Yeah.
Definitely, like obviously a short leash on that character because, Ray Stevenson passed away. But like if I'm just looking at it like narratively outside of like the obviousness with the real life situation, that's kind of how I would think about it if the zombie thing ends up.
No, I like the way you think there on Balin. Interesting. All right, we got 2 left here. I'm predicting some nod to Kanan.
100%.
Be it a picture of Freddie Prinze Jr. in Hera's, room.
Like I was always a fan of She's All That. Like it was just a movie.
Or maybe Jason shows up and there's a quick quip from Ahsoka or his mom. But you get just like Zeb being established. We know Kanan's gone, but I don't think you can have all these rebels together in a series without at least a mention of their former compatriot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that they're like, especially once we get to Hera and Jason, like, I don't know how much Jason's going to be involved in the show because he's probably near his teen years now. So, you may get like a teen rebellious Jason Syndulla here.
I hate you, Mom. I wish Dad was here.
Dude, I don't doubt that would be like a storyline.
Then a wolf
like
shows up and it just keeps going, doom, doom. And then Jason kills it. He's like, Mom, there's this fucking wolf in the alley. Keep going, doom. So I fucking shot it. That's your dad, you son of a bitch. You just shot your dad.
But yeah, I mean, I think Kanan will make his way in there one way or another, whether it be like a mural, like seeing the mural painting or, a mention.
Some we've just kind of glossed over, even though we know it's in it, but all the potential of the WBW, I mean, you could see a live action scene of Kanan real quick. You never know where that thing could take it. Depends on how they're going to use it in live action, but we know from its use in Rebels, and we're talking about the World Between Worlds, it's as fucking crazy as you want it to be. I mean, you can literally, there's portals in it, and the portals go to different parts of the timeline, and yada, yada, yada. So there's all sorts of potential there to get Kanan a nod to him. I don't think it has to be, it shouldn't be anything more than a nod. It's not his story, so... but we need to address the Ghost Crew in full. Yeah, 100%. All right, Nick, go ahead and drop the last one on them.
Yeah, last one is Barriss is addressed in some way. I'm putting this in there because she has to be.
She should be Merrick. She should be.
Yeah, like she should be Merrick, but she should also just be like the character's thread was left so wide open that like it feels like it needs to be addressed, especially by like Ahsoka in some way or by the series in some way, because it's like you have this character that was of such importance towards the end of Clone Wars that she literally got Ahsoka arrested and then expelled, not really expelled from the Jedi Order, but basically caused her to exile herself from the Jedi Order. And now you have this character who is essentially a Sith apprentice before the fall of the Republic. What happened to her once the Republic fell? Did she become an Inquisitor? Did she become one of the
dude? If we go on canon, she's locked up in the fucking Jedi Temple somewhere. So did they just ice her in a cell off screen, or did she say, "Wait, hey, I'm with you guys. I hate fucking Jedi"? You don't know. I am with you. I really do feel like she is a character from Clone Wars that needs some resolution because of how she kind of intermixed with Ahsoka's journey.
Yeah. And again, it comes to how deep cut are you going to get? Because she's deep. She's a deep cut. She's a character that really doesn't come to prominence in Star Wars until the 6th season of Clone Wars. Like, and the impact that she had at that point was very large for sure. Caused the division between Ahsoka and Anakin, caused the division between Ahsoka and the entire Jedi Order, caused the exile of Ahsoka from the Jedi Order and all of her known friends in the galaxy. Like, that's a pretty fucking important character, even though it happens pretty late in the series run. So it's just like, I don't know if Dave at this point is just like, well, it's not worth really dragging this character back up again because it's been so long and everything else. But like, if this is truly a series that's made for like the hardest of hardcore fans like us, then I think that like there needs to be some attention paid to that character.
Yeah, I just pulled up her Wikipedia because I'm almost positive the character of Barriss was created for the Phantom Menace. Like, I swear I have an action figure of her from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah. There was a live action Barriss.
But like, I just, you know how Wikipedia shows you their first ever appearance. Yeah. Here we go. Appearances.
Yeah,
Here's
I mean,
the first.
The Republic was transformed to. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say anything. Tano was still haunted by Offie's betrayal and later expressed her belief that Offie's actions were wrong. She did have a point about the Jedi and the Republic and that if truth, but yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't say that she was killed.
She's in a ton of fucking Clone Wars episodes, though.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, Attack of the Clones first appearance. So yeah, that character even predates Ahsoka. Like, she's literally was created by George Lucas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
all right.
She's just such an open thread, and
you're right, because any of the other, we'll go here, action figure carded Jedi from the prequels were all more or less handled. We saw Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Yeah.
We saw them all get wiped out or addressed in some form or fashion. Barriss, especially with her ties to Ahsoka via the Clone Wars. Nick is not wrong, and that's why she should be Merrick. But I'm telling you, because it makes too much narrative sense and would be great fan payoff, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they'll do. It's going to be fucking Starkiller.
He's going to take that shit off, and you're going to see Sam's fucking beautiful little face, and you're going to be like, "Fuck!"
Yeah, I mean, like props says Ayla. I mean, we saw Ayla get nuked in the movie.
Yeah, like she gets wiped out. She's in the Order 66 montage.
Didn't somebody say that she lived?
Hey, that's the beauty of legends and comics. Who the fuck knows?
I don't know. Like, there's no way that she lived because we saw her get shot 50 times in the back. But like, she's got to be
that blue
dead.
Skin's pretty fucking resilient if she could handle that.
Oh yeah, her troops turned on her. And her reaction to Chancellor Palpatine's broadcast of Order 66. So yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't say in the data bank that she's dead. It just says that her troops turned on her, but you literally see her laying on the ground getting shot repeatedly.
Yeah, I remember watching that and be like, okay, George, that was a little like, I mean, he hangs on them literally robo-copping her for a few too many seconds, you know? And by robo-copping, it's where you have a gang of people with guns shooting at a body on the ground. That's robo-copping for you. Make sure to never show that scene to little kids because it will fuck them up the rest of their lives. Thanks, Dad.
But yeah, so that's our predictions for Ahsoka.
And we'll come back to both of these. We typically do once the season ends. We'll put the last episode to bed. Then the next 2 weeks we'll revisit our wants and predictions to see how shitty we were or were not. Before we move into the fan segment, Nick, I did want to touch on this quick summary that a fan of ours sent over. This comes from a Star Wars Toy Story. They somehow got themselves the early screening last week. And here is a spoiler-free quick recap that I have approved. I promise you, nothing bad will happen if you listen to this. So I liked it a lot. I'm a bit of a shill. Like, I like it in all probably more than most, even if I do see missed opportunities. So there's one take. Kind of sounds like myself because I too am a shill. It felt like it's setting up something epic. There's some confirmation of a leak you covered, I think. Okay, so that's good. As background, Andor is my favorite of all of them. I love every second of that show and love the Persian episode of Mando also. This didn't feel as cerebral and dialogue focused as Andor, but it still felt slower somehow. And the hook at the end of episode 2 didn't really I don't know if there just wasn't one, but I'm not I don't know. There wasn't a serious cliffhanger. I think they're trying to say by the end of episode 2, it's not a very clear, clear. The episode should have ended. Something like that.
Yeah.
It was a good natural stopping point that left them satisfied, though. Okay.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. I read somewhere in a review. I'm not somewhere. I'll just say it. I saw a review from IGN, a quick blurb review. They gave the first 2 episodes a 7, and they said that they spent way too much time setting up people who don't know anything about Rebels. They said it was the first 2 episodes were too heavy on setup.
Okay, so we're going to love it probably, and casuals are going to be like, this is filler bullshit. I hate Kathleen Kennedy. Fire her. Right? Is that what we're trending towards here?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't it depends on how much setup it is. Because if it really is them recapping Rebels in a 2-episode span, it might get a little boring because it's if you've already seen it, it's okay, I know all this shit happened.
The last thing they said here is, with little exception, the trailer is pretty much the first 2 episodes. So,
okay, so okay. Well, if the trailer is the first 2 episodes, then there's going to be some action, there's going to be some fighting, and there's going to be some
gathering and mustering of. Listen, the first episode's always going to be slow. I don't know why people get upset about this shit. Especially when it's a series premiere. It's not even a season premiere. You have to premiere a series. It's a pilot. You have to establish character A, B, C, and D, other character, E, F, G, and then set the narrative tent poles. So I always expect the first episode to be a little more in depth. Yeah. And props here in our chat. He's seen it too. He's saying episode 1 has a huge cliffhanger, so it makes sense that they're running the 2-episode premiere. So it's sounding like if we would have been left on episode 1, we all would have been sitting there holding our jock fuck, what's going to happen? But our other reporters saying, even though episode 2 doesn't end on it felt like a natural stopping point to move into the rest of the season. I really think episode 1 and 2 is going to usher us into the main narrative. Yeah, we're going to get through all the bullshit, all the feely feels, and why'd you leave me? And I mean, that type of stuff, and then they'll be fighting in the woods there by the end of episode 2.
By the way it sounds from props and our other source, maybe Thrawn comes in early, and they just get that out the way instead of drawing that shit out.
See, I think 1 and 2 is going to be all the Balin Shin stuff, beating up the ship, Ahsoka asking for help, getting told to go fuck herself. And then them fighting around the World Between Worlds device.
WBW portal. Yeah.
And then the last 6 episodes will be focused on the search. You have
to stop whatever's started, basically.
All right. Props is saying I've been on point all year, so I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, hey, maybe I'll watch it tonight and get excited by predictions and get my content going, but I just don't know. Like I said, I hate sounding like a little whiny asshole, but you gotta understand, I'm 43 and I've laid myself up twice within 12 months, and it just is not good for your mental health. I feel like a loser. I have a ton of guilt over what I do to my family when I do this shit, and an extra dose of shame for it being from the fucking device that broke my leg last June. So it's like a trifecta of fuck. And when you kind of couple that with the fact that we are who we are, and we're not really a big channel, and no one really looks at our shit besides our super fans, it's why do I take the time to do that shit anymore? So who knows? You never know. If something excites me, I won't be able to control myself. But my plan is to watch it tonight, take my notes, get up at some point tomorrow once my arm feels ready, and then get down here and make some content for the 10 of you, because I do love the 10 of you. I just wish it was tens of thousands. It would make doing this a lot more fun, I guess, worthwhile. I mean, it is always fun, but I guess it's becoming not worthwhile. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I've always said do it if you enjoy it in terms of like your recaps and stuff like that. So like definitely if you still enjoy it, do it. But like I think that like if you're starting to get to a point of fatigue with it, then definitely pull back.
Right.
Because if you don't,
they'll be shitty anyways. Like if I'm not in it, they're going to be. I mean, they're typically low class, low brow, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
You're just going to like burn yourself out on like the whole thing.
There could be a change, at least from my content production with this series versus what you may be used to with past Star Wars. I'm kind of running out of steam. And it's just, it's like I'm getting real. It's like, hey, dude, you can put out fucking 500 more videos and you're never going to catch on. It's just you don't produce the content that the algorithms juice, and that's okay. All right, let's take this on the road, Matt. You need to be a part of the action. Bring SWTS on the road with us on shows. I know Nick doesn't like the crowd, so you're not wrong, Props.
But also, like, I'm not gonna go spend $1,000 to get to LA and do a show that's gonna be watched by the same number of people who watch the show when I do it in my fucking.
I think he's saying room. We could get a little bit more involved with actual Star Wars people. I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. One day, Props. I have a feeling I might take you up on that at some point, but I am and we'll move on here. I definitely am feeling a bit defeated at this point in the life of SWTS. So we'll see where it goes. But in between now and then, we still got our fan segment to get through, and we're going to try to do this as fast as possible because my fucking back and shoulder are aching. Because Nick and I spent the first 25 minutes of the show today talking to ourselves. So things are going longer than we expected. But you know us, we always do our fan segment over here, starting with the question of the week. That gets posted to Instagram at Star Wars Time Show. You got to check out our stories and the profile. And it should make it over to Twitter too. So if you see the question, respond. We will more than likely grab it because not many people do respond. So let's go ahead and get some screen switched around here, and we'll get through the very few responses we had to this week's question, which, as always, was themed to one of our topics. We're talking predictions. We asked the fans to bring their own Take It to the Bankers, and we didn't get much, but this is what we got. So up first, like I said, what is one of your Take It to the Bank predictions for the Ahsoka series? You can always count on our boy Rippick _ tan coming through with a response. Definitely Anakin as a ghost and Ahsoka making peace on the past. But I'm also on Hondo watch, so he's thrown in a Hondo prediction.
Yeah, I mean Hondo, he pops up in a lot of places. So
yeah, but I think his first one definitely pays off, as we predicted that as well. And Nick, because there weren't many, it's just two big slogs of the comment section, so have at it.
All right, next up is the M.A.R.C.O. The Marco on Instagram says, Bears Offie as the Inquisitor for the win. Well, it's more of wishful thinking. Yeah, it is definitely more wishful thinking. We'll have to see. I mean, we're kind of hoping that turns out to be the case as well, but who knows? League of Extraordinary Sixthers says, we meet Leia somehow. If we can meet Luke, Leia shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Like we were saying, they've already kind of done the whole, we're going to make Leia out of CG and definitely AI
use her.
You
could use Billy's body, right?
Yeah, if Billy wants to do it, yeah. And then just put like they did the AI Leia for fucking Rogue One, they could do it
dead.
Again.
she
did
look like she had a soul, but yeah,
they did it. So Bat
I know
says,
what he's going. He corrects himself.
It's Martez. Yeah, it's the Martez sisters. Martez sisters make an appearance. Take it to the bank. And then he laughs.
Well, it's just the Martez sisters they're characters that have really upset some fans of Star Wars.
Yeah, because they're black women in Star Wars.
Well, and Ahsoka had a 3-episode arc with them that many felt was a waste of space and time in the Clone Wars final season. So
I will say this: the people who are watching the Star Wars that we're watching shouldn't talk about wasting of time. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you could be
like
doing
I know
something
Bat's
much more
fucking around, but
with
the Martez sisters would make a ton of sense for an appearance.
I mean,
because
it would.
they
were,
changed
rebels.
Ahsoka. Ahsoka being with them is what convinced her that, yes, I need to fight for good because I have these abilities. I can't just be a wanderer. So they're and look, Bad Batch, they show up again. They're working with fucking Captain Rex. So come on.
Yeah, like they are like quintessential rebels at this point. And if there was something that was going on with like an underground resistance or something like that, or people being vocal about upcoming threats to the galaxy, they would be involved. So I mean, we'll see. They probably won't make it in though. Props.
Yeah.
Sabine,
you decipher this for me.
A light bulb,
or someone on the internet.
Like,
we have a light bulb emoji,
light bulb, battery, and a
flashlight,
flashlight,
and he's saying take it to the bank, and I'm sure it says something.
Is it like is it a lightsaber thing? Like Sabine lightsaber thing? Because like when you were a kid, you knew that you had a flashlight. You would play around with the flashlight as a lightsaber. I don't know.
The battery
Props. What are you trying to say?
Like light, charge, flash.
Light, charge, flash.
Light juice, flash.
Props. Decipher this for us. We're too fucking old to know.
I don't know what that means. If it is like a legit spoiler, then just leave it as emojis.
Yeah.
Sabine Jedi. All right. Saber.
Sabine Jedi. That's kind of what I was figuring. It's like Sabine lightsaber or something, like Sabine fighting with a lightsaber.
We see that in the trailer. So Bat got it. LOL. Sabine Jedi. Okay. Well, that's what I've been saying.
There
too,
you go.
So.
Okay. Bodnar Photography says we will see every core member from Rebels. That is 100% going to happen.
Except for Kanan, maybe. So,
yeah.
We might not technically see him, but we're hopefully going to hear his name at least.
He will be involved in some way, shape, or form. Nova Toymation. Nova, you need to work on the Anakin spelling, my
Annie.
friend.
Well, he's a fan of Annie,
yeah.
Little Annie.
Yeah. I'm betting
Annie can.
Annie can flashback is seen in one of the World Between
Annie
Worlds.
Can better. I can do it, but Annie can better. Do. Annie can Skywalker. I like it, dude. Hi, I'm Annie Can. Yeah, Anakin. I am lesser Anakin.
Anakin flashback scene in one of the World Between Worlds windows. I think that'll probably happen, like seeing a little bit of Anakin from the World Between Worlds side of things.
Fuck, I can't laugh. It hurts.
It's just like the one thing that we don't know about this is like how heavily is this going to be involved in the World Between Worlds? Because realistically, Star Wars has now opened the fucking terrible opportunity to just fuck with everything with time travel.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, like you have now, like, the Hitler paradox is now possible in fucking Star Wars, where it's like, well, just kill Thrawn when he's a baby, or like just go back to when Thrawn's sitting on the shitter and stab him in the back of the neck. Like,
I would go back in time and figure out whoever pissed in Sheev's Cheerios as a little kid. That would save a lot of nonsense for the galaxy.
Because it's like they so like that's now a possibility. And as far as we don't know much about the World Between Worlds, so we don't know how it can be accessed and like what's the limitations to it. Like, can you only go back to places where you were? And that's why Ezra could save Ahsoka in that battle.
He had a memory of that time and place.
Yeah, like what's the limitation to it? Because if there is no limitation and it's literally like anything that I know happened, I can go back to, then you could have somebody tell you a memory that they had with Thrawn when he was asleep, and then you just go and fucking stab him or something like that. So I don't know if we're going to get World Between Worlds shenanigans and stuff like that, like where they literally do like change the past, for lack of a better term, or like their solution to a problem is, oh, we'll just go back through the World Between Worlds. Like, I don't know if they're going to look at it as a tool or as something to be closed.
Yeah,
I think this should not exist.
I think the way they're going to use it in the show is going to be fundamentally different than how it was introduced in Rebels. It's almost going to drive like an engine of sorts, I believe. Maybe be a power source, or it's going to be it's going to be the MacGuffin that gets them, as in them, I'm talking Morgan and her cronies, to where Thrawn is at. It's almost like going to be a teleporter, if you will.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, maybe that's the way that.
Yeah,
that
I'm kind of with you. Let's just leave the time altering shit to what Ezra did in Rebels and saving Ahsoka, and pretend that it changes for live action.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't want it to be a time travel thing that they use, because then it gets messy and
we're right back to the MCU. Like we're like everyone else. Fucking Indiana Jones even time travels now, so it's like
Indiana Jones did the time travel thing. So I think that like Disney has definitely been a little bit too liberal with time travel in their recent owned franchises.
I do like the idea of closing it though. Like if it is, let's say okay, use it a little bit for time travel, but the end goal should be to then let's take this thing out. It's no longer a narrative tool for Star Wars. Let's just fucking get rid of it.
Yeah, it's like this. I mean, but the thing is now is I guess like they've already addressed it to a certain degree with fucking Grogu in in Mandalorian. Like
that was called a seeing stone, so that wasn't necessarily the WBW. Like
the full WBW.
I'm with you. I do hope in some capacity it is destroyed in this series, at least if they do use it for time travel early on. Because Star Wars doesn't need to turn into a multiverse. That's comic book shit. Like let's try to pretend Star Wars still existed in our universe. It was just in the past. And
it's just there's already so much for Star Wars. There's so many planets. There's so many different races of character and different types of characters, and even the potential to explore new galaxies. We don't need time travel. So look at this. Bat says, "Okay, he just jumped on the
Nick Grogu death train.
Almost hope he doesn't make it. But like Grogu's another one. Like Grogu has to be dead before Mandoverse ends too.
Or he's develop like a serious addiction to death sticks, and he just becomes a fucking loser.
Yeah, he just becomes like he takes the fucking route, the
Evazan Jabango or whatever his name is in Attack of the Clones, trying to deal him out to Mr. Hello there.
Yeah, he's just selling death sticks, or he becomes like a
he's just stuck on the streets of Navarro, like he's laying there like a hobo. Hey,
a bum. He's just a bum.
You got any death sticks?
He takes the Jar Jar Binks route.
Yes. No. Grogu, you can talk now. Oh, that's right. Fuck.
It's like I forgot that I could talk. It's still. I hope this kid talks before he dies. That's the one thing I'll say. Is I hope he talks before he dies.
No. Okay, let's go. Get into the next thing. I'm losing it.
All right, this is it. This is the final segment of the show. It is the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved in this segment, make sure to tag at StarWarsTime.show on all of your Star Wars Instagram posts, whether they be art or otherwise, art preferably, in toy photos. That's how you get involved. That's how I pick the top 5, is from the tagged section only. So do that if you want to get into the top 5. Add tag.
I think your message has been working, Nick. I have seen more and more show up in add tags. Still not everybody, but it has helped.
I mean, we have some, like a few of the big accounts are doing the add tag, and they're making their way in there. So it seems like it's starting to catch on. But let's kick this top 5 off with at Collectibles Nat.
Well, I'll read it for you because I know what this guy's doing. If you look at his watermark, it's an at. So this guy has to be a Pittsburgher because that is a saying in Pittsburgh. Be like, hey, I want to go do this and that. Like I'm gonna go go downtown and that. It's like it's Collectibles and that. And it's Pittsburgh slang. It's like Yins and Gum Band and Roof and Route.
There you go. So Collectibles and that, it has
I love the name.
An amazing shot of Asajj Ventress, the dark disciple of Count Dooku, and it's really a great shot of Asajj. It's one of the less used characters in Star Wars toy photography, and I don't know if it's because people just don't have her figures, or she's not popular.
That's the only
amongst
figure
the
we
community.
got, bro, is that one right there, and she just came out like a year or two ago, so that's one reason.
Well, that's why. Hopefully we get some more of her, because she's an awesome looking character, and it's really just Asajj with her 2 lightsabers ignited, standing on what looks like the planet of Dathomir by the lighting that Collectibles in that has done in the shot, and then you see these dead trees kind of forming this almost like archway. I like that right
backlight. Right, the red backlight is a nice touch too. I like that.
It is. It's so good. Yeah, I mean that's what really kind of like sets this character like in a place, in a time, like potentially on Dathomir with her lightsabers ignited. Just an excellent kind of like almost like dark regal shot of Asajj Ventress here. So strong stuff from Collectibles in that. Nice. Next up, comic Dad Shots. Comic Dad Shots has given us a fun crossover shot here with some Friday the 13th stuff in Star Wars. Jason lurking in the background. But what we see really is Jason chopping the fucking heads off of stormtroopers here. Just indiscriminate violence.
Yeah, he's like rock slamming the one and doing a one-armed head lop off with the other.
Machete, with the other one. And like what makes this shot here for me, it's like one incredible bokeh work by Comic Dad Shots. Just really good job getting that like Sir Dork-esque bokeh in the shot. And then the second thing is the angle of the head that's being chopped off in the foreground. Like he's got this dude's head cranked. That machete is like
there
cutting through
on the about to be headless trooper, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, just excellent work there. And then he also gives us a few other angles of the shot. Just really great work of this mashup, this Friday the 13th Star Wars matchup here by Comic Dad.
That's the face-on shot. Jason really is a big motherfucker, huh?
He is. He's a big dude.
Do you want to hear something that might surprise some people?
Go ahead.
I've never seen any of the Jason movies.
You've never seen any of the Friday the 13th?
Is he Friday the 13th? Okay. Yeah. No. Nope.
Yeah, Friday. I mean,
and I came to Nightmare on Elm Street late. I was probably like 3rd or 4th grade when I started watching those. I was kind of a big pussy as a kid. Like I would watch this shit, but it would scare the fuck out of me. Like Aliens really messed me up as a little kid. Chucky, Ghoulies fucked me up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I've never watched a fucking Friday the 13th, and that's almost that's like a goddamn sin for someone in my age and generation. You
got to get on it for sure. Comic Dad Shots is in here too, and he's surprised
I'm catching it on the chin as I should. It's just it's like that. It's just one of those franchises that everyone has to watch. I've missed it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, so for Friday the 13th, I mean, like I'm not going to call spoilers on a fucking movie that came out 40 years ago. The first Friday the 13th is not about Jason at all. Like it's tangentially about Jason, but really he's not in it as the character that you know. Like he's basically just mentioned in it, and then at the very end kind of pops up. But
another one I haven't seen, the Halloween franchise.
You haven't seen any of the Halloween movies?
And okay. I think I don't think my dad was really into horror. I mean, obviously I would have got some of my initial shit from him, so it was mostly sci-fi and then tough white guys killing a bunch of people, like Commando, Rambo, and Indiana Jones, so on and so forth. So I am way outdated on 80s and 90s horror. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, go back and watch like some of the older like Friday the 13th movies. Like watch like Friday the 13th like 2 and 3. Like those are pretty strong. It starts to get really fucking weird when they start crossing over Freddy versus Jason, and Jason goes to space and Jason goes to hell, and like those all get kind of weird, but there's a string of good ones in there for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know, like, I guess some of the older guys would have to tell me, like, would the first Halloween even stand up at this point, or would it look ridiculous?
The first Halloween definitely still stands up, but the second Halloween movie is not a Michael Myers movie. So like if you're looking at the franchise, watch the first one because that's Michael Myers, but the second one is still a good movie, but it's not about Michael Myers, because the initial thought for the Halloween franchise was it was going to be different scary stories for every movie that release around Halloween.
He hit so well that they're like,
yeah. So like it was like Michael Myers random movie about like masks. I think there was like
Bat's
like
saying you're actually talking
thing.
About the third one. It sounds like
third one. Sorry, yeah. So third one, yeah. So like it was two. Like the first two were Michael, then the third one wasn't, and then they went back to Michael.
Yeah, I got it. Like I said, I got a lot of catching up to do in the 80s, 90s horror, no doubt about it. Who knows if I ever get there? But Comic Dad Shots got us way onto a tangent. We need to get back on task. Yeah. I need to get the fuck out of here. So, Comic Dad Shots.
Okay, next up.
Cook at beep bop, beebity boo. See, my body's telling me it's time to go. When I start just letting out beeps and boops, it's over.
We've gone long. So anyway, Comic Dad Shots at Comic Dad Shots with a Z at the end on Instagram. Make sure to follow. Next up, Center Point Studios giving us a potential of what we can see here in Ahsoka.
Hell, at this point, we're an hour and 15 away from the Ahsoka premiere. Woohoo! And we got, as Nick said, Center Point giving us a chopper murder shot. So this should make Bat happy here in the live stream chat.
Yeah. Chopper murder shot. You see him blasting off with his rocket boots or his rocket like attachments on his chassis, knocking through one stormtrooper. You can see his little his
arms are out. He's like
out there.
He's like he turned himself into a torpedo. He's doing like a sonic punch. He's doing a
excellent
Hadouken, but as a droid.
As a droid, and then. In the background there too, you can see his loyal companion Hera also helping.
That's right. I like how you said
his
companion is Hera, because I think that's how Chopper thinks.
Yeah, that's how
Chopper's not a number two or an assistant to anyone. He is the man.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you're following me around, okay? Like I could leave whenever I want. So I mean, excellent shot here from Center Point Studios, really setting us up for the Ahsoka action to come. Next up is at Rippic__tan. You may have seen this if you're on the live stream in the shot from Rippic's response in the question of the week. But what we have here is another Ahsoka shot. This is another shot of Our Lady Ahsoka. This is Mando versus Ahsoka with her two white blades fighting against a couple of I guess this is probably like the types of droids that we saw in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, he's essentially recreating the scene, which I believe now, and we said this before, it looked like they're in a shipyard. I know the name of the shipyard. I'm not going to tell anyone, but let's just say it's a pretty famous shipbuilding planet in Star Wars. So yes.
Okay.
Nice. Apparently she tracks these droids to this planet, Nick, after her encounter with them at that temple-looking place.
Excellent. So yeah, I mean, Rippic Tan showing us what we might be able to see in the first two episodes drops in the next year. And in the next
we're going to be seeing this tonight, no doubt.
Yeah. So good shit from at Rippic__tan. And to close out the top 5, we have at MindTrick_photography giving us an awesome shot of our good friend Maul. Maul whipping his two blades, his real legs. It seems like this is original legs Maul, not
this is
robot
a bit
legs Maul.
Timeline, but we'll go with it. It's fine. There's no way Maul had his legs when the clones were around, but it works.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this is during the Clone Wars time period for sure, because we got some Phase 1 clones here that he's getting ready to. Well, one of them seems like he's already dispatched, and the second one he's
begging for his life, but
yeah. Giving him a moment to say his final words before he sinks the death blow. But it's like a great imposing shot of Maul, both lightsabers ignited, two foes on the ground, one already felled and one about to be felled. So beautiful work here from at MindTrick_photography.
And that's the Phantom Menace Maul, I believe the figure arts version. So it is a fantastic figure. That is something like those of you that collect 112. I'm getting even closer to beginning to part ways with them. Possibly a lot of my figure arts that many of you don't have and would have to spend a lot of money to get. So keep your eyes peeled. We're talking weeks, though. I got to get my arm back. I mean, for Christ's sake, I still haven't put my basement back together because I was diddling along like, oh, I got time. And then I break my fucking shoulder. 6-week delay. All right, here we go. Shut us down, buddy. It's time to go, right?
That's it. Woo. That is the end of the top 5. That's the end of the show. It's been a long show, so Matt, take us home.
That's right. Well, that does kind of my fault. The reason it was so long, because I'm an idiot and didn't start the fucking live stream. But hey, for those of you that do like to join the lives on Tuesday, 5 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show, you can catch the bonus segment on the audio-only podcast drop, which is going to hit sometime tomorrow, Wednesday, 8:23, probably late afternoon, considering I'll have some Ahsoka bullshit to wade through. But it is time to say goodbye. Like I said, I mean, depending where you're at when you're listening to this, obviously, if you're listening to it, time has passed. Ahsoka is out. Go watch it. Enjoy it. If you are here with us live, like I said, we are almost under an hour from Ahsoka episode 1 and 2 hitting live Disney Plus. So I am getting a bit more excited. We're essentially going to get a nice little mini movie to kick us into the Ahsoka series. We'll have 6 episodes to go after this. So 6 more weeks of Matt and Nick talking about Ahsoka every Tuesday on the SWTS. And why do we do that? Well, there's always time for Star Wars Time. So don't forget about StarWarsTime.net. That's our home base on the internet, the best place to tell new fans and old fans alike, so they can, hey, look at some of the content we don't put out anymore because there's really nothing to write about, so fuck that. But B, more importantly, to get all of the links to sub up, all right? Let's go. Let's sub to those podcast platforms. Give us some ratings and reviews. If you're a YouTuber and you're on this right now, like the stream, leave a comment, create a clip, share it around, turn on notifications, subscribe. That's all we ask for. You don't see any paywalls here, right? Just help us out. Tell the algos we're good, which the only way you can do that now is liking, commenting, sharing, rinse and repeat every single fucking week. Let's go. Clip it. If we did something good today and we should make a clip, let me know so I can get to it over the next few days. I have been trying to put out at least 1 clip a week on our socials to expose some new people to what we do on Tuesdays, because that's really where we make our money. The fake money, that is. There is no real money ever being exchanged at the SWTS. All right, people. May the Force be with all of us. Tune into that SWTS every single week. Even when we're not here, we're going to have something for you to listen to, because there really is always time for Star Wars Time. And don't forget, if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you always.